What is up, y'all? It's your boy Aniki coming at you on time for the one time in a long time. Church of MHA, Season 3, Episode 21, My Hero Academia, Chapter 362, live reaction to the discussion. We got, listen, we're going to have a good stream for y'all today. I'm going to tell you that right now. Got the pirate crew coming through doing the thing. You don't understand. Let y'all file in. I know, like to let people get in here. The stream is going to be around about 2 hours because I got to do some other stuff today. But that don't mean it ain't all love. It just is what it is. MHA 362. We got so let y'all file in. Hope y'all had a good weekend. Or week, I should say. This is y'all weekend. I'm sorry, I'm tripping. Upside is, if you didn't know, you finna know. I already got a new job. Them layoffs ain't touch your boy. I'm gonna be able to walk away with my PTO payout intact, which means I'm gonna get paid for 2 weeks of work that I didn't do, but basically still getting that vacation time that I earned paid to me. So that'll be nice. And in addition to that, I'm going to be going to a job that pays better, and I'm going to a job that'll have full benefits activated by the time December rolls around, from insurance to 401ks for retirement prep, etc. So we looking good. So like I said, the stream's going to be 2 hours because I'm actually heading out with Axel Blaze to a baseball game later today. So, and I don't know if you guys have watched that podcast that we did together a while back, but it was a good episode in my opinion. I thought we did a really good job with that. So let's see if the chapters are up on the desktop site because it was acting a little goofy earlier. There we go. None of that goofy goober nonsense no more. I won't have to read on my phone to y'all. I hate when I do that. It looks tacky to me. So now. Okay, and in addition to that, we're gonna have the bishops filing in early, just to make sure to compensate for the fact that I'm gonna be hard locking this at that around that 2 hour mark. So Archbishop East, how you doing? Oh, I don't know if Archbishop East gonna say nothing, but regardless, let's see. Let's see what numbers we had in the chat. Hey, J. Michael Holmes. Okay. Hey, I'm gonna have to talk to Thomas. About his tweets. Lamar Arrington, what's up, Denzel? What's up, J. Michael Holmes, God King, Sosa, Austin Morgan, Devontae Camp. We see Mello in the chat. What up, Tanisha Greer? How you doing? I see you on time. Tiger Blaster, Trippy Manga, Old Faithfuls. Good to see you. All right, I'm diving into the chapter though because I've been having to dodge and dive for all these spoilers this week. Whew, no church next Sunday. That's okay. I'm gonna try to find something to give y'all. But thinking about talking about why I love MHA, something easy, something accessible, something that people who don't actually appreciate MHA will end up appreciating as a video. We'll see what I can do. What's gonna happen? All right. That all said, My Hero 362, I'm diving right in. I ain't got time for this playing around no more. All right. Let's see. All right. Picking up right where we left off. Let's see 20 pages, so 17 pages, definitely. So if I fail now, everyone in this coffin is utterly doomed. All right, so yep, he got that cannon looking like a Monster Hunter player. Arm completely transformed. I like the fact that one of the things that Jorge kind of likes to do is honor that physics. So to deal with that recoil, you got the stands. This is why I like those Bear 50 cal rifles when they be sniping, the little tripod legs. Yeah, boy. Got to make sure you can actually deal with what you're firing off. So stand tall and proud, Tamaki. Taking care of biz as usual, dude. Giving us the Hard Brothers flashback. I know for a fact that you've got some real special talents. That blindingly bright and shining praise, like treasures from them to me. Up to now, I could never fully accept it. I was crushed under the weight of that wealth. it just felt easier to be down on myself. Thank you, everyone. All right, looking at this, and it looks like basically eating Hado's energy waves gave him the ability to generate Hado's energy waves. This makes manifest one of objectively, like when he calls him the Sun Eater, that kind of seals it. Like I think that if he thought about it, he could probably practically produce ice and all kinds of other stuff if he was, doing the same thing. Sneaky little pest, vast hybrid, plasma cannon, makes me stronger. Get wrecked. See, taking that extra, ooh. Let's see, giant blast, you just don't get it, as waves and waves of them, chunks and chunks are getting blasted away, just airing them out. And then, let's see, you just don't get, and then Mirio comes in and hits him in the jaw until he passes out. I've seen like a little bit of random stuff that like suggests something big happens this chapter, but the upside is that people are always so dramatic that I don't take it seriously. So even if it ends up being true, the amount of skepticism I have regarding anything that almost spoiled me is so high that it's kind of irrelevant, especially all things considered. So now, Mirio coming through with the clutch. Ooh, okay, wait. So we're back towards civilization. And blasting away. How? Nigeria is still in there. See, yep, that lets you know that attack simply grazed her. Yeah, like slashed her. And then, oh, hold on. Is that Sun Eater's whole left arm getting yeeted? Nah, he's taking some damage and he's got the crab claw on his right arm. Let's see. We got lots of smoke though. Let's see. I'm hoping that they're not just taking UA over another town, because that would be nuts. That would be dumb. I thought they were at least going to leave this dude in the ocean. Think about it. Remember All Might in his prime? Would something so pathetic have killed him? Come on, use your heads. Okay, so what's crazy about this is that I doubt anybody's talked about it. But that the plasma cannon did less damage than that howitzer to him. We don't see any like fresh burns, nothing. He didn't lose more of his lining. I don't know, bro. This is kind of wild. Bakugo standing up. Baku, look after the others. Yo, what? Bakugo, don't do it. See, bleeding, eye damage, gotta win, right, Izuku? No, you mustn't. Right side. Yep, okay, so remember when I talked about how Bakugo had blinded him in his right eye? Immediately takes advantage of that blinding. Splash, smacks his face, boom. Right side. Okay. Hopping around, bringing back the cross up that he used on Deku during Deku versus Kachan 2. That boom, bounce up, down, behind, about to crack him with the right hook. He saw it coming and dodged it. Wait, oh, Mystic, what? Flexed again. Quirk, explosion. The sweat glands on his palm produced a nitroglycerin-like liquid that he can detonate. But the cluster upgrade he devised came with a side effect on himself that he wasn't aware of. The act of saving up sweat into launchable beads put a terrible burden on the glands of his palms. With his sights set on victory, he kept storing those beads in the glands until they were forced to find other exits and leak out all over his bodies. Explosions all around his body gave him even more speed. Yo, about time. And the best part about this is that you can't, how do I put this? Calling this an awakening, as far as like the way people always think of it is still not logical. We've talked about how it's using your quirks in a different way. His body, his entire body secretes this kind of sweat. His whole body has been doing this the whole time. That's why he can have these jackets and all this other stuff that pulls sweat from his pectoralis major and all that other stuff, and then pulls it into the cannons and he can fire it off. His whole body been secreting explosive sweat this whole time. Finally, his whole body is getting into it. My whole body hurts. Battling through the pain, fighting while trying to spot the enemy's ticks and habits. This is basically the path you had to walk. So Izuku, man, this shot of him upside down, can I still catch up to you? How is he pissing me off so much? That random extra who doesn't even possess one for all. Uh-oh, I know what we're gonna have to talk about. Why am I suddenly panicking? And then oh man, that flashback, there's either one or two things that this little flashback gray panel can mean. And one of them is one that's going to have people in shambles, and the other one is just, that's okay. But we'll see, because I love the devil's advocate role, so we're going to end up having to toss that around a bit. And y'all know exactly what I'm implying too. Turtle Quirk, perhaps you were treated too harshly. That's all I'm gonna say there, but we're gonna get into that. So go to hell, and then we see All Might's vestige appear. Oh, right. So thinking back to when we finally met, I was pretty much a punk going through some stuff. And now it looks like I've missed my chance to ask. Man, I wanted an autograph so bad. Because we see him having the All Might card in his pocket. And his heart looks to have ruptured. Oof, or he's being pierced. I can't tell which one, but he's being smacked. Oh, look, finally, that rabbit comes back after doing nothing last chapter, or the chapter before that, I think. About time. Way to leave it all up to a kid, though. We've had clear skies over the Kanto. Oh, no, this is good. Not Hori making it a point to tell people the skies are blue again. I don't even want to. Oh, man. We had clear skies over the Kanto, Chubu, Kansai regions, but according to the volunteer weather report, a sudden and drastic rise in temperature is disrupting the weather patterns. Looks like rain. You were just tracing the earlier fight. Why do you think you could win? We came prepared for today with a perfect Demon Lord body, ideal for the final boss. Understand yet? What's coming now is our story. The villain's tale. That kid of ours is no fan of rain. His heart, Genus yelling. Monoma looking devastated. Obviously, Manuel's water is helping. And then Bakugo's just laying there with a hole in his chest and the All Might card next to him. Whew! Woo!
Been going for 8 years strong.
And we got a break.
It's been, My Hero has been going for 8 years strong. For 7 of those 8 years, if I do so recall correctly, the most popular character has been Katsuki Bakugo. Debated time and time again. Hori can't do it because he's the most fan favorite character. He can't do it. He can't do it. He don't have the balls. He wouldn't hurt one of the kids. He wouldn't do it. He can't. Well, guess fucking what? Pat, watch. RP to one of the greatest characters, Katsuki Bakugo. The bar's in hell, nigga! Woo!
All right.
No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
There's Thomas.
Wait, hold on. You say you don't believe it. Believe what?
No, I don't believe it. I don't think that's the way Bakugo go out, because he didn't even do any damage. Like there wasn't even an actual final attack, a real one. Well, like had an upgrade and then he died. I don't think that's all for him.
I have to believe that it. I mean, it might not be all for him, but it's all for him being alive. because the reason I'm saying that is because I mean somebody pointed it out when we were having that little discussion in the Discord. It's kind of funny because he started off it's like poetic actually. He started off being trying to push everything that Deku is away, and he ended his life trying to be exactly just like him, doing all the things that he does. Like even within like the final moments of his again that when he was talking to that vestige, whatever the fuck it was, of All Might.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, Thomas is the one who actually made the take. It was your take.
No. I mean, I can't believe that they killed him if that is what the story wants to do. But I don't think they killed him in the way with all the consequences comes with killing a character. I mean, which means he's not going to be in the story other than maybe in flashbacks. I don't think this is the end of his story at all.
Okay, hold on. So first off, I gotta hit up the super chats we got. So no Google, I do not want to change my name comes through saying Hori don't miss. Joseph Shola comes through on Demon Time saying King Explosion murdered. And Mr. Andrew comes through saying Jesus will use his quirk to suture Bakugo up. I ain't believing anything until I see the boy in the ground in the grave. So
denial mode activate. This did not happen. No. Denial mode happen.
I need to address something very, very important.
Until 363 comes out, I am in denial. No.
We have to address something important, which is that Bakugo is one of the characters least likely to be dead, not because of popularity, but because My Hero Academia is a flashback. And more specifically, it is very likely to be Deku's version of the All Might special, a look back that we got to talk about, at the start of, I believe it was season 4, which, yes, some people can say that it's like a filler episode, which of course it technically is, but we know that All Might has multiple documentaries and stuff detailing his younger years. So if Deku was sitting here telling us the story of how he's the greatest hero, and we have flashbacks because MVA is covered in My Hero Academia, which that isn't Deku's story. My Villain Academia is Shigaraki's story. But who was My Villain Academia narrated by?
Spinner.
I think we did have Bakugo narration at some point, didn't we?
That's my We've had
during
multiple, I think we had at least 2 cases of Bakugo narration because he kind of gets those boxes when during Bakugo Rising, and then he gets those boxes when he's like, at the end of the day, Deku was just a big nerd. Mm-hmm. So those 2 narration boxes or moments are the main things that establish a precedent that it could be justified that Bakugo isn't going to die here. That said, Horikoshi could have also just been taking creative liberties and letting him narrate for the sake of, in the case of the Toga scene, comedic timing. And in the case of the scene with Heroes Rising, it could have been like one of the Black Hero Rising. It could have been something that he told Deku about, and that's why we get that flashback narration.
Yeah. So I think we also have kind of a precedent of Genus already stitching a person back together, right? So technically, Genus can hold his tissue back together.
Does he have enough time to do that though?
Bro, his heart is done.
But I mean, Genus was able to stitch his lung together. Ultimately, you need the heart to pump blood around. But even if you don't pump blood, you have a few seconds before your brain dies. So if Genus uses these few seconds or even a few minutes to stitch the heart back together, then
yes, but I think the problem you have,
it would work.
I think the problem that you run into with that part is, I think I talked about this also in that little chat. Are we going to expect Shigaraki to Shigaraki to just stand there and let that happen? I don't think he would do that.
Oh,
he's going to cause entire havoc. They would have to use somebody to throw that nigga out of paint with Genus. I'm like, all right, y'all go to the side and we'll try to hold him off. But at the same time, it's like, nigga, hold him off how? Sonny just used his biggest attack, didn't mean shit. These niggas have not once pinned him down and actually stopped him and had him truly pressed. Bakugo did the most damage, and then Shigaraki broke that nigga's shit right after that. So the best they had,
I would say
the best they had is like But even like Aniki said, he kind of did. Bakugo seen had did more damage to Tamaki. But regardless, Tamaki had to charge up and use his biggest attack, which just got destroyed and didn't even do much like that. So he's still moving. Ooh. So what do they have? What else do they got after they just all got fucked? Everybody's injured or tired now, And it's
Like-
I just don't believe. I don't. The first thing is I am perfectly certain that Bakugo is not out of the story. So this idea about he's not going to kill Bakugo off because he's a favorite character, I don't think he's going to kill him off and take him out of the story. This is not the end of Bakugo's story at all. If they bring him back to life, or if they make some weird time travel shenanigan, I don't know.
Where do people get time travel from? Like, I really do.
No, just because there are like theories out there with a second. I don't really believe he is a second, but I think that this is a theory that whatever we can at least acknowledge that the theory exists.
So here's the thing. No.
Okay.
Says is right. We need to acknowledge Bakugo. And when I said that flashback,
More like Bakugan.
when I said that flashback is now we're gonna have to talk about it and take it seriously.
For what reason do we need to take it seriously? I want to hear your president. Set the stage up so we can get this on. I need to
because of the fact that we can, and this is going to sound kind of crazy, but one of the things that I've always been worried about with Eri and like the application of Eri was the House of M storyline.
Mm-hmm.
And how she could eventually lead to Quirks being wiped out on accident. You know, the No More Mutants Scarlet Witch thing. You know, she's got the red dress, she's got the horn, all that other stuff.
You'd have to explain that. You'd have to explain that. Yeah.
Basically, House of M is when Scarlet Witch, because she's an actual like universal level threat, which is why she ends up, you know, doing all that shit in Multiverse of Madness and whatnot. But effectively, Scarlet Witch becomes powerful enough that she utters the phrase "No more mutants," and it wipes the ability for mutants to be born for a while. Actually ends up killing a good chunk of them off. And it's part of why Scott Summers ends up becoming such a radical, because a lot of people like to think of Scott as this Boy Scout, when in reality, the man was like a certified terrorist that was rolling with Magneto for a good while during the comics. That was straight up pulling up on people like, mutant kind is what matters, and I will blow you away with these eyes if that's what it takes to make that point clear. But there is another storyline from that time period that can come into play here. And it is the Matthew Malloy storyline. Now, during the Matthew Malloy run, Scott is raising up a generation of children. Specifically, they managed to find some of the few remaining mutants, and they're taking them to take them under their wing, raising them in Genoa, helping them learn their powers. And in that storyline, they encounter a girl who has the ability to make time barriers and kind of like rewind people. Eventually, that girl actually does manage to time travel. And I'm gonna tell you right, like Matthew Malloy ended up being such a problem because, okay, this is one of the most morally compromised moments of Xavier's career, where he found a mutant that was so powerful that he had accidentally destroyed his house and killed his parents, and nobody noticed because he was so powerful and didn't want that to happen, that he had basically created a psychic projection around everybody around him, that they believed everything was fine and his house was still standing and everything, even though it was wiped out, and he was basically playing in a wrecked house like Shigaraki was living in, or like Shigaraki had destroyed his house too. And what ended up happening is that Xavier tried to raise this mutant and then was like, no, this isn't going to work, and took a child's mind and basically did, if you guys have watched Umbrella Academy, he basically did what Allison did to Vanna and made the kid forget he was a mutant, put a bunch of psychic barriers in his brain so that he could not access his mutant powers. Fast forward after Xavier's been killed by Scott Summers on the beach, and Matthew Malloy starts awakening his abilities because the person who put that in his brain wasn't alive anymore. Eventually, he accidentally kills Scott, and the girl that Scott was raising that did time travel goes back in time, finds Xavier, pulls up on him. Xavier reads her mind, immediately freaks out because he's like, what the hell? You are not supposed to be here if you are what you think you are. She explains to him that Matthew Malloy is free because he's dead. Xavier literally goes up and mind pokes it so that his parents don't talk to each other, so that the dude never exists. The man who decided to protect all mutants made it a point to not let a mutant even come into birth. And then, to assuage his guilt, he wiped his own mind of it. So, if we're looking at how we've always looked at her as the Scarlet Witch, and that's a red herring, and we get the, because like at the end of the day, I got to acknowledge that panel also of him looking back, like that random cut to what looks like the second user.
Right.
And the fact that All Might specifically manifest as a vestige, not, and like, you got to think, Bakugo has never seen vestige form All Might. So why is that the presentation that we're looking at with Bakugo right now?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it would just be negligent to ignore it. There have been these theories about connection between Bakugo and the second ever since the second first appeared because of his silhouette and because of how he looks. And back then, most of us kind of chuckled at it because we didn't think it was realistic. But I think at this point, we have too many with him being supposedly now dying or dead. And the last thing we see of Shigaraki looking at Bakugo and comparing him more or less, or remembering for the second. We can't just continue to ignore it and act like there is not a connection. There's definitely a connection. We don't know yet if it is time travel shenanigans or if it is just ancestry, but there is definitely a connection.
If people want to go that route, they got it. I'm not going that route whatsoever. Y'all have your stance on that.
I'm not either.
He literally said, how is he pissing me off so much? This random extra in bold print who doesn't even possess one for all. Bakugo went up there, got his ass beat. He already told him, bro, you don't even have off one. You'll never be on Midoriya level. He comes back with his own way of combating Shigaraki and speed blitzing. The god Shigaraki said, why is this nigga making me a nigga who doesn't even have all one for all? The second user does not have the scar as of yet in this flashback, clearly as stated, as you look close enough. In the Vestas world, the second user has a scar. That would mean at that time he died, he had the quirk at the time. He said, why am I suddenly panicking? And he told this nigga to go to hell. I'm just like, there's like, he said, like, he's like trying to put that connection there, like, oh, well, he's there clearly for it's like they just resemble each other. That's kind of sure. That's kind of the sense. But but I don't have a precedent to go all the way into there and to go to the time travel thing with Eric, because how would we even get like she would have to go to another level of that too. And at that point, they would have to keep Bakugo alive for quite a while. Because at the current state she's at, even let's say she tried to revert that shit, like I don't see her being able to go.
I'm not saying it's guaranteed. I'm saying, but like pretending like it's absolutely 100% is not gonna. It's not the move. It's just not the move anymore.
Like you're the guy who always says Horikoshi never wastes a panel, and I think at this point, yes, this might just be clearly from the way he talks. This is remembering him the second before he got OFA. But I also think that at this point it would be naive to assume that it's just because they both challenge Shigaraki or AFO without having OFA. Because if we actually look at this chapter, Bakugo didn't really do much damage to Shigaraki in this chapter at all. This is Bakugo got some power up and then got into action, but he didn't actually launch like a terrifying attack on Shigaraki. Shigaraki seemed to have seen him, remembered the second, and compared them even without Bakugo doing a lot of damage to him. This is not like Bakugo beats Shigi up and almost kills him, and Shigaraki is like the only other person who was able to do this is this second before he got OFA. This is him seeing Bakugo and getting inexplicably angry because he's reminded of the second from before he had OFA. And I think to assume it's just because both of them challenged him is weird because Bakugo didn't really challenge Shigi all that much in this.
Hold on.
Well, no. Actually, no, hold on.
You got it, BG.
That's where I disagree, because the thing is, it's kind of clear that the reason that, like, it's not just the fact about them challenging them. It's about the fact that he continued to fight despite the fact that it's clear that you have no ability to do anything to me, yet you still try anyway. That was kind of.
Why didn't you think that way about Amaki? Amaki just launched a huge attack against him. Why didn't you think about Amaki that he reminds me of the second?
Wait, Tamaki? Because of the fact that he didn't just beat the fuck out of Tamaki and then just put him on to the death door already. Like he already clearly showed.
Hold on, but BG, that would be a flaw in Shigaraki's logic.
Why would it be flawed?
Because this is the same kid that was surrounded by 8 niggas and still blew his mask off.
What do you mean? I'm confused.
Shigaraki cannot be like, it would be stupid of Shigaraki to be like standing up to me after I beat his ass when Bakugo was willing to stand up to him in Kamino surrounded by 8 people. Like the whole league was there and Bakugo was still like, yo, I'm a swing anyway.
I'm not.
So that
saying,
would make sense for him to like.
I'm not agreeing with. I don't really see where you're coming with that one because it's like I think it's more about the fact that Shigaraki has proved to him that he can't do anything to him.
That doesn't matter. What proof did like what reason did Bakugo have to think he was going to survive that fight?
And also, you also have to remember that was even if that was the case, even if I accepted that, that's still just Shigaraki. This wasn't who he's fighting right now.
Well, he's fighting Melvin, but
yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's not fighting Shigaraki. Shigaraki, and this person they're fighting right now, are two different niggas. So I don't think that's fair evidence, in my opinion.
Yeah, but the other thing is that
but his experience is still
we can't assume that this is all for one talking, not Shiggy, because these memories that make him remember the second, this is all for one talking, not Tenko. And even from back then, from last chapter, we can assume that the person who's kind of in control now is the quirk all for one. And old all for one didn't think anything like that when faced with Endeavor, who also stood up. So there's definitely a difference in how the quirk all for one reacts to Bakugo standing up compared to Endeavor standing up.
Yeah, and I'm sure we're gonna get like that expanded upon. I think that primarily it's about Bakugo's character because his arc is the one that's trying to measure up to One for All, as opposed to obviously Deku, but he's the Endeavor to Deku's All Might kind of thing, where he's the one who's actually getting up and trying to but that's to me is what's more relevant right now, as opposed to like any possible direct connection to One for All, because personally I like that Bakugo isn't explicitly connected, and I don't think there is a connection just based off the evidence. Like his quirk is a combination of two quirks, where the seconds, well, we don't know what the seconds is, the second user, but Bakugo's quirk, he didn't inherit like cannons or anything. He inherited Nitro Sweat. So I really think that connection is really tenuous, and I think it's just again, it's evocative of similarities between the characters without them actually doing it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. The Bakugo is in a way similar to Endeavor in this fight and general in the position to All Might / Deku. But the way All for One, the quirk now reacts to Bakugo is way different to how the other All for One reacted to Endeavor. Way different. The other All for One was kind of semi-impressed, but ultimately still talking down Endeavor. But this All for One is actually panicking. He says he's panicking. He says he's pissed off. This is a completely different reaction, which is why I think that there has to be more behind this.
Yeah, but I think that's also a bit unfair, even on all our parts, because we don't even know what their history is yet.
That's why I'm like, we can't. That's all I'm saying is being completely dismissive of it isn't. Hold on. What I'm trying to say is that being hard dismissive of it is bad media analysis ultimately.
Right. At this point,
that's what it comes down to. It's like just being like, no. That's not what we're here to do. We're not here to stick our fingers in our ears and be like, I don't like this theory, so I refuse to acknowledge the possibilities of it. That's not what we're here to give our audience. We're here to give them a fair and actual.
So let me ask for the president of like what would be the basis and logic behind doing all this in its entirety, building this up just to be like, all right, we're going like you would have to have Bakugo. What I need to like fully like explain, because the logistics is so loosely based, like it's so out there. I would need like give me like something real like 10 like Eerie would have to like Bakugo would have to be at this point the same as right here. Bakugo would literally have to be held together, wait a couple of years, or like she would have to heal him right now and just send him back, right? And then he would have to wait a couple of years before quirk skin like had to be old enough, or he would have to heal up, wait and rest to go back in the future. Like I'm trying to see like how this would really work, because her quirk doing that is like she would have to even wait even longer. And at this
I've always said that if we do get any Bakugo time, if we do get any time travel, it wouldn't be the current Eri that's doing it. Yeah. I think we had a small conversation about this, so like last year, maybe 2 years ago. But basically, the way I've looked at it is similar to how I talked about how that girl, like after she like worked with her powers when was able to time travel. To me, if we were to get something like that, it would have to be like adult Eri came back specifically to do this. Which at that point, if you're going to have somebody who can time travel, it makes more sense for the future version of them to come back and do it than for the child version of them to do it.
But then
because like,
yo, what's good?
Hey, Shiro.
What's up, Shiro?
But keep in mind, I am not at all saying that I think this theory is 100% canon. What I'm saying is we got to be willing to look at what is in the story, and instead of saying it doesn't work, we need to figure out why it could possibly work. That's what the good analysis is. That's the investigative aspect.
I agree completely. I think at this point we are facing three possibilities. One is that Shigaraki is just looking at them and they are similar, not just how they look, but also how they act, how character, that there are certain very significant similarities between them, which are just random. That's one possibility. I think the second possibility, which I still think is maybe the most likely, is that they are related to each other, so ancestors. And I think that's the most likely at this point. The other possibility, and I think we can't completely dismiss it, is the time travel thing. I don't particularly think it's going to be time travel exactly, because how would the future narration thing from Bakugo work if he would time travel back into the past?
And like, yeah, obviously, like I agree with some of the flaws too. Of course, like why would we go this route? The one thing that I'll also say is that like one of the things that the Bakugo time travel theory was supposed to do was to help explain to the one for, because like a lot of people were like, how do the one for all original user figure out that he could even do that? And that's part of like where having somebody who knows how one for all already works go back is the logic that a lot of them took. And I'm like, okay, we do need to, because like we also have to figure out why he raided that place and chose to save the user, because he could have just been like, all right, well, go about your business, you free little homie. And instead he brought him into the fold. And so there's certain things that it's like, these beg extra questions that we don't have answers to yet. That I'm like, all right, cool. I'll humor these and indulge in this conversation, specifically because at the end of the day, we know that Hori's a Marvel fan. We know that X-Men stuff is going to come into play. I'm not going to just turn a blind eye to it. Like, it wouldn't be fair to talk to people and be like, no. Like, that's disingenuous, and that's not how I roll. But I also think that we can establish this with the second user having a similar quirk to Bakugo back in the day that effectively allowed him to apply the same amount of pressure to out finesse, especially because if you look at it from that perspective, it's like Bakugo being a person, like if the second user had a quirk even similar to Bakugo with like just making energy blast, for example, Black Whip is a decent quirk now. Allow him to apply the same. Whoa, somebody's looping me. But Black Whip is still a good quirk now. I think we all agree on that. Everybody in the call, how do you Black Whip? Well, Black Whip's still good.
One of the best quirks.
Still good?
Yeah.
All right. So the way I look at it is that if Bakugo was the second, or Bakugo or somebody has a quirk even similar to Bakugo's as the second user, think about that time period. And that's S tier. Like even currently, Bakugo's quirk, I think we can all agree, would at least be considered A tier. So
with potential for S, yeah, but
at least it can get a good quirk in the next life.
Right, A tier with potential S tier. Like when you look at this upgrade, it would have been a full blown S tier quirk at that point.
So it kind of makes you think.
So Anarchy, I gotta address Anarchy then.
Go ahead.
All right, so since we doing that then about being a good analysis and this that, and the other, right? So this is my thing then. All the time we keep having this consistent conversation. It was a joke. The time travel theory thing was a joke. At this point, it's been going on for I don't know how long. Anything evolving around the second user, literally not half of this stuff don't make logical sense in dealing with this. At this point, it's been a conversation for I don't know how long. And anytime I ask somebody, give me an actual basis for what would make the logic in this, even now. So with this chapter, I don't care whether I'm gonna be very specific because I knew it was gonna happen when other people's like, well, he's not there yet. I got to see this and the other. I'm gonna be very specific and careful about words and peculiar when I say this statement, bar for bar. Bakugo is not surviving through this entire war. If you want to say he has extra moments, he may speak or something. I have like a little heart to heart, and then fully cap. Okay, but as far as I'm concerned, he is not surviving this entire encounter because we're not even going to touch around the bullshit you have to go through to justify that. Because it's reaching to like heart suture that has already been pierced. The moment, and not even to talk about what data do I have to base off that horror coach. We just pulled this back as top because niggas calling cop out already, like, oh, it's just a cliffhanger, red hair, this and the other. For you to have the same moment that Shigaraki had in his death, and you have the fucking All Might card, like I wanted that autograph so bad, to have your heart pierced, to have this entire moment, and then go back and to have him pierced in the ground, laid out. His mom said what she said. His heart pierced in the ground, blooded up, laid out with the All Might card.
He's dead, bro. I don't give a fuck.
Dead as fuck.
Wait, Anarchy.
Okay, hold on.
I still stand to what I said that Genius can save him.
Hold on. That's what the amount of like stuff you had to do to defend like that, just to cop back, bro. You didn't have to do all that because he was already having a great moment for his character. Then, so you just go do that and and just backtrack off that. I have no doubt to believe Horikoshi would ever do something like that because it's never been actually done in the story. You can't use Gran Torino because he has something after the fact. So the same thing with but his status is innate. With Bakugo, it's like he may have a moment or two after that, like speaking a word, but as far as his living like to the entire end after everything,
hold on. Him being alive does not change anything. Shigaraki is still gonna go after him if he's alive. He's going to die no matter what.
So here's my stance. Like I also want to explain because, like I said, we're being completely fair here. We're talking about how what could lead to why the second user is being referenced here and all that other stuff. We got to be honest and cover like the possibilities there. That's just part of being honest, having real discourse. But on the flip side of that, I will talk about like what you said is true. I think this is actually a good way to kill him. Mm-hmm. This is a great way to kill him. One of my favorite characters, but this is a great way to put him in the dirt. I could like the suture ideas and all this other stuff. Like somebody said, like, hold on, because I never got to cover Nader's super chat.
Yeah, I was about to ask, did you see
has anyone sent out a missing poster for Edshot? And then somebody mentioned maybe Edshot is there specifically to try to repair Bakugo's heart.
What? That's what I said. That's what I mean.
And here's my thing about that. Edshot has been kind of worthless this entire time.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, that's better. Like I was like, if Edshot.
No, I meant Genus. I for whatever.
Okay, good. Because I was gonna say if we're gonna have an Edshot hopping through trying to do some stuff, I guess it could work, but like that would feel very contrived and
he's not important.
Yeah, his quirk is for slicing, not for
it's
not just that. The nigga could go into his heart all he wants. Is he a medic?
That's the question. Like, that's what it comes down to. Does he have basic suturing? Does he even have the ability to do that stuff? Could he run a needle through and thread it at the speed of sound?
That to me is not utopia.
But that would feel like that to me. Okay, don't like this is gonna sound crazy. To me, that would feel more convenient than the time travel stuff.
You're why.
No, legitimately.
No. Hold on. I agree with him here because at least. This is like, all right, it's some Mickey Mouse bullshit, but at least it was right there and it makes some sense. All right, anime logic, bullshit, healing Mickey Mouse shit. The amount of shit you have to go through for the time travel, the amount of missing pieces just to justify 50% of that is kind of crazy.
Wait, I might have misunderstood. I sounded to me like Aniki said that this would be more convenient than the time travel shit. Not that the time travel shit would be more
Edshot being able to somehow suture stuff when we've only seen him go inside people to blow their organs out. That sounds way more convenient than
that's what he said.
An Omega mutant basically coming back and helping.
He's wild. That's why he's wild because he's saying that the time travel.
The thing is, I don't believe Bakugo can die.
I would legitimately rather have time travel than Edshot doing that.
Bro, does Edshot have the presence to do something like this?
No, that's what I'm saying. I
don't think Edshot is going to be. Edshot can put more holes into his heart if he wants to. But he's not gonna put any less holes into his heart.
The only way
that's why I'm like, nah, bro.
The only way Bakugo can survive this with like another hero on the job is, I said this in the Friday call, is if Genus has a quirk awakening and he can control muscle fibers, which will be impossible. That's the only way I can see it, and that's convenient.
Suture it back together depending on how the bad damage is. Just use thread.
It got pierced. Or it got exploded and pierced. Man, I don't know how you come back from that, bro.
Either way,
I don't know you need a heart transplant.
Like I genuinely think this is the only reason why Genus is in this fight, to make sure the Bakugo survives it. I think this is the only reason Genus is in the fight. Genus had, for me, way more death flags than Bakugo. The main reason I don't think Bakugo is dead that way is because Bakugo is an immensely important character.
Yeah.
And this chapter didn't quite do him justice in terms of killing such an important character. I
think
I don't agree.
That comes up to how you view it.
Hold on. Because I think what Sayers is saying, which tell me if I'm wrong, is that ultimately we got him flexing combat a bit, like some cool combat moments, but we only really got like 2 pages of like that goodbye.
Hold on, let me say this. I'm not disagreeing. Let me say this because Mello did specifically say if only we had 2 more pages. Mello is, by the way, a certified Bakugo hater, but he even said that if he had 2 more pages, it would even felt like a little bit more, even if he wasn't really doing anything. So to say what Saya said, I'm not disagreeing or I'm agreeing, but to play devil's advocate and stand in the middle neutral ground, it's all based about how you see it. Some people can see this as either one of the best deaths ever, and by all their categories blown away by expectations, didn't expect this, by the way it was done, et cetera, et cetera. Some people may feel like, oh, it felt like don't feel like it's his actual death, don't feel like et cetera, like the way you feel like. So this right here is more so how you feel than anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Bakugo is not my favorite character. Like I would
even
if it is in a scenario where I think the death did him justice, I would have nothing against Bakugo dying. The reason I think is that this chapter, it basically we get this new Quirk Awakening version of him, that he has this new power suddenly unlocked. He charges up, he looks very bright and blinky, but then before he does anything with it, he dies. And that's just unsatisfying for the second major character in the story.
I was going to bring something up to address that. That was what I figured somebody was going to say this. The thing about it is that the whole thing about the whole like, oh yeah, they didn't really because people were talking like it was like 2 pages of talking about it. I mean, to be fair to the situation, they're in the middle of a fucking war. They can't just break. They're not going to just be able to break down and just over here just like mourn this nigga. It's a situation where I feel like, honestly, I think they kind of said everything they need to say as a send off with that page of him talking as a message, whatever the fuck that was, of All Night. Because that is pretty much
one of these things that opens more questions than things. Like,
hold on. Say
that PG.
Yeah, because as a character, that pretty much encompasses the exact all the change that Bakugo has gone through from the start of the series to now. It pretty much shows that his whole arc in one page. And not to mention, another reason I'm kind of like solidified on this is that I don't think they have that in the Viz translations, but they keep those little subtitles they have at the end of the chapters in the scans, and at the end of the scans it actually kind of just puts it in perspective, the whole thing, where it says the end of dreams.
Unfinished Journey was another translation.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's also kind of like something. It's like there's a whole bunch of shit stacks up. Because
hold on, guys, because we're doing a great job of giving the people an excellent stream. I'm happy. We're engaged.
Super chats,
but I got super chats. Yeah. Nate coming through said Hori writing Toga, tugging Midoriya into the warp, delaying him to go to the battlefield, and writing this whole battlefield just to write Bakugo dying. To this day, delaying Midoriya is still the most annoying writing choice. I do think that delaying Midoriya wasn't necessarily necessary, but I also think that this is gonna, like, if this arc and this battle is supposed to be what we're having towards the end of the series, this is the only opportunity we've had to truly be like, Deku, show up, Deku, show up, Deku, show up.
Dead ass, because when he come up, that
he deserves that, and I really, really hope that Deku has, by the time this season of anime comes into production, his own actual theme song, so that we can have something playing as he's getting there, close to and arriving. Which
that would be fire.
Real quick, how do y'all feel about Bakugo reviving himself because nitroglycerin being able to restart hearts?
Can I address that? It doesn't actually. It doesn't. That's for heart failure.
What heart is
heart failure?
His heart exploded.
Hori blew Nagat's face off, then it was back later. I mean,
that nitro.
Yeah, it's for heart failure. It's not for situations like this.
Yeah, that's when a heart is supposed to have stopped. They never say the heart stopped. We see
in the spoilers. They said it stopped, but they corrected that later.
But so there's something that I also want to address, though, because we're spending a lot of time talking about whether or not Bakugo's dead. So I'm gonna flip this now. We're gonna pretend like we're 100, like it's guaranteed 100%. Understand that even if you feel like it's guaranteed, it is not 100% guaranteed right now. You have to be objective.
Not dead.
Oh,
fine. Let's pretend.
Let's go with the he's completely dead. You realize Shigaraki's not living then, right? There is no world where Shigaraki kills Bakugo and gets to live.
Yeah, and fine. Like, me.
I didn't think Shigaraki was living regardless.
Yeah,
bro, honestly,
it don't got nothing to do with Bakugo dying though. He was gonna die.
Look. Here's my thing. I already had Shigaraki on the "you gotta die" list.
Bro, you see what he's doing? He's doing all this. Can't nobody take this nigga down with no quirks. With no quirks. If he awakens, bro, what do you think? Bro, it's not about, like I said, it's not about morality. It's not about your ego. Well, I don't want to kill and this, that, that. Bro, you don't have a choice. It's not like because it's period for a second, bro. We are beyond that point. The adults are telling you what they are telling you because they are telling you for a reason. They know what they're talking about, bro. And in this series, the kids might have a different viewpoint, but like, they're a little more optimistic. They do things a little differently. But when the adults are telling you something like this, they're telling you for a reason. There's a reason they are trying to kill this nigga. And to think that Shigaraki, let's say Shigaraki end up in jail, right? And let's say at that point, that would mean that Deku should just like beat this nigga. That means Deku saved him from All Might, right? So you really have like the next beat between Shigaraki and All Might be like Shigaraki lost everything and he in prison. It's just like, we stopped you.
Nah, honestly, even from a narrative standpoint, for Deku to be like, "Oh, I'm still gonna save you," even though you killed somebody, it's very selfish of him.
Yeah, I was about to address that.
Look bad to everybody.
Yeah, I don't think
because it does bring.
You need to do what Gran Torino told him to do.
It's not about hatred. It's not about hatred. It's about doing what you need to do. Him. Yeah, you got that responsibility, bro. Like,
that's irresponsible. You're the only one that could stop him, and you're like, I don't want to kill him just because I don't want to. That's just irresponsible at that point.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, if we go with the Bakugo being dead here, ignoring whether or not like how we feel about it, because I think that next chapter is gonna, even if he's gonna die, there's gonna have to be a little extra stuff next chapter to kind of tie that up neat. Or we're gonna cut away, which will have people crying shit and throwing up.
Win-win.
I'm
Win-win.
Hey, hold the floor. Hey, Willow, why don't you speak, bro? You texted in the chat. Why did you just speak?
It's fine. I'm not used to this kind of thing yet,
That's my first time. Get your rings in, bro. Get your rings in, bro. Speak.
Also, I need y'all to check. I need y'all to check that tweet I put in the chat.
Yeah, I checked that.
We got you, BG. Go ahead, Willow.
About Shigaraki.
Yeah.
I think that there is an instance where he does come out of it, and my thought was that, and this is again another thing on Rewind, we don't know if he has Rewind as well, and I'm not sure how powerful that quirk is, and if this presents more or less problems than time travel. But I think if Deku is able to get Tenko to save him, like not even getting Shigaraki, well, I don't know how it could get out, but yeah, I think the only way I think Bakugo actually gets out of this is if Tenko decides to try and be a hero and rewind, which, I mean, say what you will, I don't know how that would exactly go down, but I think that is actually the most tangible thing in my mind, other than maybe super surgery from Venus. I don't know.
Interesting.
All right. So.
Oh, this is Alan. This is Alan's fault. Okay.
Hey, bro. Like I said, bro, y'all gotta stop like saying Deku not gonna kill him. He not gonna kill him. It's not about what Deku wants at the end of the day, bro. Like, do Deku got the right to say that, bro? He's not even at the same power level as this nigga, and you think Deku has the right to say what I'm gonna do and what I'm not gonna do?
See, my
he's a threat greater than just your ego, bro.
He's gonna save him by killing him. That's it.
I think Shigaraki, and actually objectively, Shigaraki has not factored in, or Melvin has not factored in. And I'm gonna attribute it partially to him not properly respecting any of his opponents through the past. Because he's thinking, oh, if I get Deku angry, he's gonna pop off like he did in the war, and that's gonna be to my benefit.
It's also to his detriment.
He's won.
And see,
he's forgetting that the only reason he got that blow on Deku that was chomping through his, rivet stab, was that Deku was already partially injured. Mm-hmm. So one, you're gonna make a fresh Deku go berserk. Two, Deku didn't have access to the second user's quirk during that fight. Three, and this is actually more important to me, he didn't have Fa Jin in that fight. Mm-hmm. So now what's going to happen is Deku's going to pull up, St. Louis smash this nigga in the face, do it like 3 more times, and then have a super St. Louis smash, and he's going to have to deal with the fact that Deku is going to constantly be able to build up energy while hitting him, which means that if he decides to use an actual 100% smash after having stored up Fa Jin, he's going to be massively overclocking when he damages Shigaraki. There's a massive miscalculation on the part of Melvin here.
Yeah.
Melvin.
That's what he calls. That's what he calls.
Actually, you know what? Since we got that third, since we got that third part, it's Magumaru. But back on track anyway. At the same time, Presidents does go back for Shigaraki because the last fight was not even in any sense of the word. So at this point too, that nigga is going to actually be even stronger than he was, but his power. This time he not finna just get yoinked around like he did last time. Like this time, like make or break, whether it's like in or not, it's gonna be an actual true clash. Like these niggas like really gonna have to be neck to neck. Like Deku has like I said, Fa Jin, like honestly is like Fa Jin is great. Like I've been telling niggas, I seen the reason for Fa Jin existing long ago. Because it gives this nigga a way to survive and keep up here and there, but be on the back burner for most of the fight. Because I was like, all right, there's got to be a reason to have all these quirks. There's a reason for everything. So it's like him having that shit here way back. I seen it back then. I was like, all right, you need this nigga, a way for this nigga to keep up because he's not gonna reach 100% by the time y'all fucking box out. What you giving time limits and shit like that. So it's like it's not gonna really work at that rate, especially if he really gunning at you and shit like that.
Let's see.
That's why I don't think we're gonna get angry Deku here. I think we're gonna get like this kind of solemn, almost like when I think of this moment, I think of I'll try not to spoil much of the Dark Tournament, but Yusuke versus Toguro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. And I think that's gonna be the kickstart to Deku being full 100% in control kind of thing. Like it won't be like I don't want to like jumpstart him up there, but it's going to be the catalyst for something like that because there's been such a focus on his anger, and like when you look at the other moments that he's had when he's pushed through All for One, or excuse me, with One for All, it's always been through anger. I don't think he has yet to like really do anything with any of his other emotions when it comes to One for All. So I think when he gets to that battlefield, and if Bakugo is truly dead, it might be that kickstart for that.
That's why I made it
real quick. Plot twist: Bakugo comes back, but becomes Oracle. I mean, that I don't see him doing anything but that at that point.
Y'all know the crazy thing right now is that Bakugo's not even going to be the only one dead when he get there.
Dead ass.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too.
I think he just opens up a room, and as people die, they show up one for one. He's like, "Oh, you're here too."
Because here's my thing: is that if Bakugo is dead here, I don't see how anybody else here is going to survive now.
Yeah, everyone's on the chopping block.
So what's funny about that?
To pull up.
So what's funny about that is it's all covered together. But what's truly funny about that is now the bar for all the other battlefields is in hell. If the peak is that now nobody's safe, and the lowest is that niggas getting niggas getting the appendages for their quirks fucked up via like Giro shit, and then the middle ground is niggas losing limbs. No matter which way you scale it, niggas is getting fucked, which is what could happen with them going up against.
Nah, bro. Do y'all understand the stakes? Bro, the stakes will be gone if he is alive. I'm sorry. The stakes will literally be gone.
I wouldn't care.
Honestly, there's no real justification that you would like. You could have literally had like Gran Torino type thing. Like, all right, he's still kind of talking and this and the other. Gran Torino had one little mini flashback, but you literally had the bro, there's no way you don't
Bro,
actually try to
honestly,
push the
like,
narrative that he's dead.
I've seen the argument that he did this because like we have a break and he wants like a wild ass cliffhanger.
No.
Honestly, listen, what would have been the problem with him just doing a regular old fake out of him just getting bodied and just being on the floor and then chapter end? Not all this. Not all this.
he put something extra. Like
it could have been a regular. He just got clapped and we don't know his status. It could have been something simple, bro. If he wanted,
if you're gonna kill someone, this is how you do it. Exactly.
Like, bro, my fault. Sure, you go.
Like, he showed his heart explode. Like, he had no reason to do this if he didn't want us to know that this man is dead.
Like, it's literally that panel, the panel of all them literally jumping in, trying to like stop it. Like everyone was too late, and then you just see like that just sold it for me. I'm like, dude, it's over. Then him bouncing. He bounced twice, hit the ground, and he finally landed on that third one. I'm like, this is insane, bro.
It's not just that, but Hori purposely drew the card. Like, he brought that back to emphasize, at least to me, I'm not going to like straight up just negate him surviving, but to me, it felt like his debt is there. Like, Hori is implying it. Like, it's going to happen.
Him and Shigaraki went to go send their attacks. Next thing you know, he's talking to an All Might vestige.
He could have killed anybody else on that page. Like, that page of everybody trying to save him, just imagine if somebody got in the way. That's literally what he could have did.
Okay. So I'm calling the boss of this thing. So I'm calling the boss of this thing. So it's like this, bro. Now, you see how you talking about, like, all right, we're not putting our hands on it, it's just another. Now, where that comes from earlier, what my irritants is that time travel is just so loose. Niggas, if you can bring a basis for an argument, fine, so be it. When niggas bring a basis for an argument and it's just something so ludicrous and out of pocket, like they have absolutely nothing to stand on, and especially when multiple clearances or evidence been given otherwise, and yes, I'm definitely directing this at the second quirk being some soul swapping other type thing.
Healing beam.
I don't know where that would even come from. I'm not even gonna touch on it. We're gonna get into details of that later. But this is my thing, is that my irritation spiked with that, because it's like, all right, bro, the vestige thing, we can discuss that when we can, whatever, this and another. It's with the contract thing, like there are so many loose variables that don't even make sense, that like the amount of workaround is still missing pieces that just like it just, we don't have like even remotely enough. And so my thing with this is, bro, you do realize there's no possible way you could defend what you just wrote in this chapter and just take it all back. Like, that's any slander that comes after that, if you truly like heal this nigga up, is all warranted. I can't, like I said, I call a spade, bro. And Horikoshi, my top one GOAT. That's my nigga for life. If you know me, I ride or die for my niggas. I will stand on the side and get there with the tomatoes thrown. I ain't got no single defense. If you have to backtrack and heal and keep this nigga alive, bro, you, like we said, there are way more outs that you could have did or something else that you didn't have to draw this to the severe you did. You drew the same white back panel when this is the same shit when fucking Twice died.
Yeah, I was about to mention that.
Like, you're saying shit when Shigaraki was in his purgatory thing. The fact you literally had this nigga say, flashback to the car, he said, man, I was a punk back then. He was like, but man, I wanted an autograph so bad. Have his heart pierced. Have nobody be able to save him. Heart pierced, heart explode. Then you have them literally talking about, man, our kid is not a fan of Rain. Gene is screaming his heart. The emotions from everybody.
Mirio, bro.
And then you have a full double spread panel of his heart pierced through the middle. Blood on his face.
All in his
literal
mouth.
Car. You were the callback king. You bring
Dried
the car
up.
And then you have the fuck, like, I know that they be taking the Japanese text out, but for you to say, what did it say? Like,
The
dreams
end of
come
dreams.
to an end in the dreams. You honed that in, bro. That's no miscommunication on any part. You truly display that. This, like I said, Grand Turismo thing, a way more vastly different there. Because at this point in the story, we are like making break. And like we said, whoever said that earlier about Tagoro, I made my tweets for a reason. I don't care. It's not a shonen thing. It's an all anime thing. Or even movie things when it comes to heroes. You know that there's no possible way Deku can be some greatest hero. Let's not even include Power Scaling. For them to come through this with no major losses, and if main attacks does not cause you a major suffering, and you just really beat this nigga, that don't even happen in movies that have a fucking hour and a half runtime. At least in No Way Home, like, yeah, they came back with a plan. Like, even like Aunt May at least died, or like something happened, bro. Even in origin stories, they have that. My master died, my father died, somebody important to me died, and now I come back up from the mud. I climb back up. That's like even movie shit 101, not just anime or shown or whatever you want to call it. So even that, it's like, bro, you have to have something that truly justifies. Like, if we're gonna end this right here, you have to have something that truly justifies. Like, all right, bro, you earned it, bro. Y'all earned the stakes because just now we're matching Twice's death. Like, I don't care how you feel about Twice. His important. The villains are just as important as heroes in this story. Don't really is not really up for debate because the amount of screen time they had, the characterization is not like other series. It's not just they come into an arc. They get their backstory, they going again. These niggas have been here from this. A lot of these niggas been here for damn for the start. And early on in the series, had they build up, they are monumental characters that affect the story overall. Twice is one of the biggest characters in the league on the villain side. For him to die, we didn't have somebody on the same level for the hero side. So now, even if you say Bakugo's death is better, he's a bigger character, whatever, at least we're even on scales that we lost something over here, we lost something on there. This is war. This is like realistic. The heroes should not just be getting everything their way. When they are outnumbered, outpowered, they had to come up with this plan to make something. So Deku pulling up here, the tensions have risen. The entire thing is making, all right, you know what, Deku, you pulled through, bro. You make your way through. You're not on the same parallel sugar, but you make your way through and have something like that. You know what? Respect, bro. You at least lost your best friend. You at least lost your master. Everybody has that moment in anime where they're in the mud and then they come back off of that, even in movies too. So it's like, all right, now I'm feeling that. So for you to take that back, being one of the biggest characters, you could have did the cop out with somebody else, bro. Like, you should not have did that if this was the setup you're gonna do. So any slander that will follow, if you backtrack, there's no justification for it at all. It's not like, oh, there's like there's no justification you could truly give me. Like, you
I
really
turn a blind eye. I'm turning a blind eye.
I just don't agree.
Bro, you did not have to gas up this much. The extra stuff you did to this, you could have just had it be like the miracle shit. Like, I knew she wasn't dead. Niggas just really wanted her dead and they wanted blood, but I knew she wasn't dead. This is not the same thing as Miracle.
It's not the same.
She got like blasted. She got smacked and blasted. Bro, you had your heart pierced through your thing and everybody's reactions. That's like, you don't do that if it's just like nobody really reacted. Miracle like, oh, Miracle, oh, what the?
No, I definitely agree that I think that Horikoshi wants to make us believe that he's dead. Definitely.
Now that's crazy though for him to go back and then
hold on. That
way too much. He did way too much.
There's no benefit from that.
I don't think
it really is a lot to take out.
Okay, so the one problem that I will say with saying that there's no like benefit, etc. I agree that like Bakugo, because here's my stance, is that it is very realistic for Bakugo to be dead here. There's also like that second user flashback makes me uncomfortable though. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. That makes me uncomfortable with writing him off as dead, because now you're like, it's almost like you're teasing. So I'm like, once we get an expounding on like what the second user was moving like, because let's be real, we know that the second user was catching bodies.
Right, he said it himself. That shit was gas.
Bruh,
he was like, I'm from a time of bloodshed.
I know All For One hates the second user. He took Yoichi from him. He broke into his home base and took Yoichi. He probably just really does not like him. And then
I'm not going to
like Bakugo. Like even Shigaraki doesn't like Bakugo.
He's having a flashback.
I have no personal reason to assume that's going to mean anything until I actually see more about the second user. Like for me right now, I have to see that because they're gonna give the backstory or more information about the second user once Deku shows up. So I think by the time we get that, maybe that can clear things up. But for me, I don't think that's enough for me to be doing.
I don't know. For me, it just felt like when I saw the second user, it just felt like when he saw that flash of the second user, it seemed as though what Bakugo was doing and like his drive, his will right there, and just how he just kept on fighting. It just reminded him of the second user. I didn't really think exactly what I said. You know what I mean.
I also want to say that
aspect of the second user, he has no scar too. That's before he got.
I also want to say that just like the whole Bakugo as a second user, I do get the point of view. Like it's worrisome because there is a theory that it has to have a lot for Hori to push into story, but this is the same situation where we had, was Deku Toga's younger classmate? Like, characters can look similar for the purpose of a narrative.
Oh yeah, good point.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't
like Alan and Senon from Black Clover. It feels the same for me.
I want to answer to East. I just don't think that this is a satisfying death for Bakugo at all. Yes, Twice also died rather unsatisfying. Bakugo isn't Twice. Bakugo is the second most important character in the story, and I think that there is a certain thing where
it's a war. People die.
Of course you can kill him. I have nothing against killing Bakugo per se. I think that if he dies in this war, that's all right. I just don't want him to die like this because I don't think it is satisfying. This chapter, the first half of it was focused on Tamaki, the first half of it. The second half of it, we have like 2 pages explaining a power-up that we then never get to see really do anything. Then we have the flashbacks to the second, which we still need an explanation for, whatever the explanation is, whether that is time travel, whether that is relationship, whether that is just random similarities, but we do need an explanation for it. And then we have him seeing All Might in his vestige mode, which is also something which opens more questions than it answers. Because yes, it's a nice moment for Bakugo in terms of his character development, but there's no explanation as to why he would see All Might in vestige form, which he never saw before. So the whole thing opens more questions. It gives us a power up that we never see anything do anything. And I don't think this is the right moment for him to die. I just don't think that. And I don't think, for the record, because this seems to be the belief, that the option, the thing I think that will happen is that he's not going to travel into the past. I don't think if he's going to travel in the past, which I don't know, but if it's going to happen, I don't think that will happen now, because clearly he's an adult when we see him as a second user. So I don't think that's something that's every will appear and suddenly do that happen. But I just don't think he's going to die completely. If he's going to die and then be brought back, if he's going to die and then there's some weird shenanigans.
Wait. I have a question for everybody in here right now.
Not for good at this chapter.
I got a question. So why did Bakugo dye his hair when he went back in time?
That's true.
You want to look cool, bro.
Right. I respect the sentiment about not wanting Bakugo to die here. I think that's honestly, I agree. I like the character. I don't want any of them to die, actually, which is a weird thing to say about a war, right? But I think that's actually what that unsatisfying part is actually what makes this really good, because we have seen so much of him throughout the story. So I'm like, we know where his arc is going.
We haven't seen much of it.
We know where his arc is going. We see his potential, like his power, what he can do, at least a glimpse of it. And that is sort of what makes it work for me.
The thing is, as I said, I have no problem with Bakugo dying. The thing with Bakugo is that he didn't have all that many fights, because he had a lot of fights in school, but most of the fights against villain was done by Deku. So he himself, he was kind of building up for an epic moment. It felt like it, because he wasn't really having a lot of interactions with the villain themselves, and if he had an interaction with the villain, it often didn't consist with him fighting, but more so having like an argument, like when he was kidnapped. He then sacrificed himself once as Deku, which also didn't really give him much time to shine in a battle situation. And now here he got like one chapter where he did good but then lost, and then one chapter where he stood up, got a power up, and was immediately killed apparently. And I just don't think that's a satisfying end for a character that you have followed for all this time. If we had in this chapter actually gotten a chapter that was thoroughly focused on Bakugo and not on Tamaki, if we actually got to see a huge attack by Bakugo, the kind Tamaki used this chapter, if we actually saw it, then I would be all right with him dying. I just don't think him being like, oh, I have this power up, now let me, the narrator, explain very long, over 2 pages, what this power up, how it works, and then let me never use this power up. I think that's
hold on. We got a super chat.
Super chat.
I know. I'm gonna hit this up. Giorno Giovanna comes through with, "This is truly a special occasion. Rip Bozo, we smoking that Bakugo pack. This is an all-time chapter."
That's insane.
Here's
Giorno's
right. Like legitimately, I agree with the notion that Bakugo should have had his own chapter that was far more centered on him, if that's how we were going to do this. Like writing wise, I do have some issues with this being his death for that reason alone. Like he deserved his own actual focus.
Exactly.
Not
like Tamaki
absorbing half of his chapter.
Wait. As a question, like a simple question, would you have felt better if Tamaki's stuff was in the last chapter?
Yes.
Come on. Wait. Wait. Bakugo has been the focus of this battle.
Yeah.
358.
I felt like this was a good chapter for Bakugo and how he went out. Honestly.
He's been the main one fighting Shigaraki this whole time.
He's the only one that did damage.
So let me say this and address this. That at that point, it's about this. This is literally what, at this point, if his death is his death, this is what it's gonna come down to. All right, how people are okay with his death, how people are not. At this point, it's just gonna be what it is, because that's his death. That's just his death. You can feel. I feel he should have had more, or he should have had this, that, and the other. At the end of the day, basically, it's going to be how you feel. No matter like it's going to be subjective. It's going to be subjective because everybody's always going to have like, oh, we should have had more. Like just like the most infamous arc in the series. Well, we should have had more of this. We should have had more of that. Some people are perfectly fine with what we got. Some people seen what he was doing. Some people blame it. Like we're just going to have different opinions on that. So just like with Twice's death, some people didn't care for Twice's death. It's whatever. Some people on Hawk side, people on Twice side. It's just going to be. Some people don't mind Midnight's death. Some people mind Midnight's death. Some people like it's just going to be. So subjective is the right phrase.
Wait,
it's going to be more so like.
I actually do want to tackle the Twice and Midnight example though, because one, I think people who find Twice's death unsatisfying, one, didn't care about the fact that the clone stole his death just like they stole his life. Which, like, come on, bro. Like, art-wise, that's beautiful as hell.
Yes,
that shit's hurt.
I mean, but by that same logic, that's kind of the same thing with Bakugo, though.
It's just going to be.
By the same logic, it's kind of the same thing with Bakugo.
No, it isn't. That is not the same logic because Bakugo's quirk did not steal his life.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about for the narrative folk, the tragedy of it. The narrative circle that it goes through, in the sense that at the end of the day, from the start to the finish, the clones ended up stealing Twice's life. In the same way of a narrative circle of how Bakugo started the story, fucking criticizing and being and like trying to and like rejecting everything that Deku is, only to end his life ending up doing the exact same things he does,
embracing everything that Deku does. He does his own full calling.
They brought that up in 358, literally, like when Melvin was like lack of understanding. Bakugo had a whole speech in 358 about how much changed. Like I think some of y'all need to reread like this Battlefield. Like Bakugo has been there this whole time.
Hold on, Aniki, before you go. Hold on, Aniki, before you go real quick. This is what I want to say about this too, and then what Sayers was saying about not enough fights, this, that, and the other. Y'all do realize more so his thing was never to prove himself during a fight. He needed to work on himself internally. Yes, I would have liked him to have his own villain fight and stuff like that here, but a lot of times the story not as meathead as you want it to be. It follows consistent logic. So the niggas being on Battlefield that they were on kind of making more sense now, especially Bakugo being because Deku should have been here and they should have ended this fight without anybody dying. If they had all the shit they would have had. Seconds, Quirk, Fajin, Bakugo doing his shit, Plasma, like everything they would have had, they could have beat Shigaraki, like, you know, a little bit more logically, like at that point. But so everything is making some more sense. But in the thing, yes, I was thinking Bakugo gonna get like a fight from a charge prison. That's what I really want. I didn't really want him here at first, but I had to, you know, come to terms with it too. But it's like, all right, I see what you're doing here, because at the same time, it's about you got the long game, Horcrux. You got all the pieces to the puzzle. So I just gotta sit here. I always trust you. So you prove to me why I gotta trust you time and time again. So it's just like, okay, at the time, Bakugo's character, I understand being like he's the best fighter, this, that, and other. But he's a shithead. He was a dickhead this entire time. He had to grow internally more so than outwardly. His power was never the issue. It wasn't like Shoto. I gotta balance this. I gotta balance that. Now I give my ultimate fight my brother because I can perfectly or somewhat balance my abilities and stuff like that. His fight was always internal. He always like, I got the best quirk, but you know that's not. I know. Like, I need to focus somewhere internally.
Hold on. So I'm gonna say right now, I don't really care about that. Bakugo should have had more fights point. Like, because my thing is that Bakugo being a proficient combatant, like you said, is not a narrative that needs to be addressed. His progress is worth addressing. Now, it's just specifically like even that point about like he could have like him. It's satisfying for the same narrative reason. No, you're missing that. With Twice, he still got like a chapter that was genuinely centered on his like struggle, the events around him. We had like Britt in the chat said, there was just a little too much going on in this chapter with Bakugo's death, where I'm hoping that the next chapter at least spends the first couple, maybe like 5-6 pages, kind of doing at least a little bit something more with it to balance out this moment, because it just needed like a little more material to make the scene complete.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that the focus of the story was on his character development in terms of growing out to be a better person. but I just, and I don't need him to have many fights or whatever. I just thought that this was an unsatisfying ending because he died in this way, like an extra, and he's not an extra in this story.
Well, isn't that kind of ironic considering his whole disposition?
Oh, you're an extra, bro.
I honestly,
hold on real quick.
Hey, Vulcan.
Hey,
Vulcan in the building. Let me hit the super chat real quick. Vitarino coming through. Personally, I love Bakugo's death and hope it sticks. Mad props to Hori. Best part, anything can now happen to anyone. Finally, there is real tension. I'm gonna be real with you. The second Dabi lost and his heart started glowing, I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah,
and when we got to the AFO fight, and which I feel like nobody ever talks about the fact that the arm that Endeavor lost was specifically the one that he always punched Shoto in the stomach with. But whatever.
Pretty much.
Nah, you fuck.
What?
Bro.
Was it?
Wait, you guys didn't notice?
He's serious, bro.
Notice.
Like if you go back, if you look at the flashback, Endeavor's always standing like this, like you can take it. It's the right arm, and then that's the one that gets cut off. It's the same as like when he did the Ida thing with his left hand being the one that like got the nerve damage.
Oh my goodness!
And that being like Corey is
I
like
just know
consistent
the
with his hands.
victory pose on. That's all I know.
I want to say one thing and put respect. Bakugo did not just die like some extra. Let's get that out the way. Like he pressed a god.
He got him scared
and injured a god. Injured a god.
He injured and he pressed a god entirely. And it's a real quick too. This last thing I'm gonna say about this. And honestly, one of Bakugo to really damage Shigaraki, this, that, and the other. Keep it real, bro. It's just going to regen. We all know this. You can't. Nobody realistically believe all Aizawa and them are going to hold up and then Deku's going to beat a Shigaraki with no quirks. I know nobody in here absolutely believe Deku and Shigaraki gonna fight quirkless.
Yeah,
Shigaraki gonna fight quirkless. So at the end of the day, this was all.
Here's the thing with this chapter.
All just for stalling. This was all.
Here's the thing with this chapter. We got it.
Yeah, let Volk go.
We got to look at what Shigaraki Awful One was saying. He was going after Bakugo specifically so he could get to Deku, right? And so, knowing Deku wasn't there, knowing he wouldn't be there for a little while longer, Bakugo's whole thing this chapter was less like, oh, I'm going to damage him, is like, oh, I'm going to face my destiny. That's what he does this chapter. He goes ahead and he faces the danger head on because there's no other way around it. And just hanging back is delaying the inevitable. And that's not what Bakugo does, right? Like he always tackles challenges head first, right? And this was still staying true to his character, where he tackles the biggest challenge in history, the most dangerous person who has ever existed, right? The most powerful, so many quirks, Awful One's long life and all the strategies and intelligence he's acquired. This is the most dangerous person in history, and he goes up against it because he knows there's no avoiding it. That's really why he did it. So it wasn't so much the damage, it was to say he stood his ground.
Like a true hero.
Like a true hero. And
also, I wanted to add on to this vote real quick. Because AFO is a coward that doesn't like to admit and give praise properly. He also went after Bakugo specifically for being the only one there who could do anything to him.
Yeah.
Because he straight up says, like, oh man, you condense explosions, and that's why this has got to go. And he breaks his arm. So, but continue.
And man, I just like the way it's framed is so hard to really gauge where he's going with this, because like there's only two paths forward. Either he sticks with this and this is how he dies, or he's not quite dead yet, it seems. Like it's manga, so like always there's going to be liberties taken with like how much damage one person can take. Technically, you can survive being in cardiac arrest for 5 minutes. So
I mean, Ahmed has been living with all the stomach.
Yeah, but he's not. But to be fair,
I know that. I know his heart is pierced. All right, but it's a world of quirks. It's a world of superpowers. I do not know where he goes from here. I'm going to say this much: if he brings him back, this is gonna have to be the most insane thing he has ever done across the whole series, surpassing the Dabi reveal, surpassing All Might of Camino, surpassing everything with Deku, all the different twists and turns. He's going to have to write some serious magic for this to work if he's coming back. And for me, I think you can still make his death work if he sticks around as a vestige in some capacity. I think you can have him be a sort of spirit, like a force ghost. I mean, that's basically what the vestiges are. They're force ghosts from Star Wars.
Yep.
So I think you can have him stick around in that capacity. And as far as the All Might vestige showing up goes, I don't think that's the actual All Might vestige. I think that's just a pre-death premonition Bakugo has.
Literally.
It didn't seem like any one for all connection to me. Like, of course, it's the All Might vestige because like that's his spirit, but like again, I think it's just a premonition. It's just him being at peace with what he chose to do, and that like
So that
I'm
begs the
still
question,
shocked. I'm still shocked this happened because like
So
the first setup,
I
like
have a question,
Tamaki is
Volk.
going to die, and then it's Bakugo.
But that's the craziest part. I think.
Hold on. Wait, because Volk, there is something I want to ask you about this vestige thing though, because I would have agreed with that if it weren't for the fact that like in Devers flashback where he got somebody talking to him that was like, you could argue based on what ended up happening when, you know, AFO hits that rewind button, like he's a VCR, you know, his past self didn't appear in like a wispy vestige form. So my thing is, why would All Might appear to Bakugo like his Force Ghost vestige self from the One for All realm instead of just appearing as All Might how he has actually seen him? Like
you could argue those situations are different
because like my question is like, does Deku have like a sketch of the Force Ghost somewhere that like he saw, which would lead to him like, because otherwise like why is this how the premonition is coming to him?
Yeah, one of two things: either that's just like how All Might appears in like spirit form, and it's like it's meant to be a uniform thing, right? Like where you recognize, oh, that's All Might, and it's like for style purposes. That's one possibility. There's another possibility I was wondering about, and there's a hidden aspect to All for One's plan we still don't know about. And he says to Aoyama, like, you got the gist of the plan, it's the specifics you really don't know about. So what are those specifics? Well, we know he's very interested in quirks and vestiges and how those all work. That's basically what his whole plan is, like merging his and Shigaraki's Force Ghost into one person. Like he's literally forcing himself to still be one person without actually changing or growing, because that's why he can't steal One for All. He's incapable of being but a selfish, miserable, hollow on the inside jerk. Like that's really what this all comes down to, and he doesn't want to change. So my thinking was that if he wants to rule the world and he wants control of all quirks as the new resources, then, well, you could embark on like a centuries-long journey and steal everybody's quirk all at once, or, and this might be hinted at, because remember what happened when Hawks was moving in for the attack a few chapters back? He seemed to like get this little premonition, this little danger sense of his own. He seems to have seen, maybe it's a little ambiguous whether it was just for us or whether he was seeing it. He's like, you see like All for One eating like the rebelling quirks, and it's like he's this monster, and it's like, but the way it's framed, it's like Hawks himself has had this sort of premonition. I'm wondering if this links back to the origin of quirks and how they were spread by mice. If all quirks are sort of connected on a deeper level, and that All for One's true goal is to get One for All, which itself is a strong crystalline network of power and souls, and in getting that, he's going to be able to open up that network and be able to control everybody's quirks or gain access to them.
So Volk, what you're saying is that you agree with my quirks are aliens theory.
Well,
Not the stutter.
Because unironically, that is part of what the basis for my quirks are aliens thing is.
See, Anarchy, when you said that and a lot of niggas turn ear, you see, that's different because you have credibility and you don't just say shit without saying shit. See how you saying that earlier? So when you say that, what you had dropped was like a little snippet of like something, and I was like, oh, okay. But nobody was really listening like that. Like when you said it, niggas just heard aliens, like, what the fuck? But the way you had explained it, you dropped the snippet, I was like, oh, I heard a little bit more of it. But like I said, it's worth a discussion because you have something to actually bring logically, because I have faith. You have data to prove and back it up. And
so, Bo, do you want me to explain this real quick so you can see what I'm saying and what like the premise of it was?
Yeah.
So, what is the Force?
Bunch of midichlorians.
What are midichlorian? Like effectively some kind of organism. Now we know that quirk factors exist within DNA and cells. So quirk factors can effectively be considered an equivalent of midichlorian. But we also know that there's a vestige network that allows for telepathic communication or some form of communication to the psyche. Now, what is a species of aliens within fiction that can exist within a being while also having psionic communication?
Yeah.
Symbiotes.
Yeah.
Spider-Man. Who's the biggest inspiration for Deku? Spider-Man. And the thing about this is that the way that symbiotes work is they reproduce asexually. They can latch on to other things. They'll just keep producing. And one of the things that's especially interesting is that like every 1,000 generations, a super powerful symbiote appears. So if you look at people like Aerie, All for One, and like these fringe quirks that pop up as every couple thousand quirk replications, a granddaddy super symbiote is popping up, then the quirk singularity theory makes even more sense because eventually those ones will lead to offspring that will come out, be powerful, and then lead to even bigger symbiotes. But if All for One is like the original parasite, then it makes even more sense because we've talked about how it influences personality, how it changes how you perceive and interact with the world. And specifically, All for One has already mentioned having effectively kleptomancy tendencies, a sheer desire inherently to go ahead and just take whatever he can, whenever he can. Where if you look at that influence on his psyche, the way it would actually go in line with what you've already said, except in this case, it wouldn't even be that this evil person is doing this. It would be that this quirk has become so powerful and so aware of how to move around that it is taking and finding ideal vessels so that it can eventually get to the point that you mentioned, absorbing one for all, this thing that allows it to tap into the vestige realm even further, effectively allowing it to go into the Force and manipulate everything and then just pull it all into itself. Because one of the things that the dark sides of the Force does because of their Force uses is they basically condense and pull more of the Force into themselves, which is part of why they end up disrupting the balance, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, that actually sounds cool. And by the way, midichlorians are actually cool as hell. They're just they were just introduced in the worst way possible in that first movie.
Oh, I would like to point out something that I've been meaning to say for like an hour. I think somebody pointed out that they felt I think it was maybe in like the chat or something that they pointed out that they felt that Deku being dragged away from the story was what did they say that was? What did they say that was?
It was a super chat, right?
Yeah, they didn't like it. It's basically
they felt like it was bad writing. Like
because
there was no need for it.
To me, I feel like I can't really see how that's bad writing because at least from how the story was presenting it, I don't know if that would have worked or not. But that plan they had required Deku to be there to fight. I don't know. It went from in some way or form stop Shigaraki. So quite literally, if you don't remove the motherfucker, then the shit might already be over. Yeah, so it's honestly a situation where you have to, and people would argue, oh, that's artificially extending the story. Well, I mean, that's how you kind of work stories. There's plenty of fucking stories where if you don't have some sort of reason to extend the narrative, you could end the story in like 2 seconds, like two chapters. So I don't see why they're criticizing that.
So also, I have to address what J. Michael Holmes said in the chat.
What?
And that the X on Bakugo's chest wasn't for explosion, but it was always a crosshair.
Oh shit!
No!
Oh damn! I'm gonna be looking at the series from a whole different lens every time I see a nigga his costume.
about Deku going away, I've realized that if we assume that Deku is via the first user, or at least via One for All overall, somewhat connected to AFO. So we might have, at least that was implied during the chapter when AFO revealed his ace in the sleeve, which it was revealed that they were kind of connected, that Deku had a bit of an idea of what was going on in the other sides. If we keep that in mind, then this means that Deku, who is now somewhere in the air, somewhere over Japan, would have to decide where to go, who to save. I mean, his job obviously is to save, to fight Shigaraki, because that's where he's wanted, where he's needed, where his job actually is. But if we assume that Toya actually does something now, which means that Shota would be in danger, obviously Hawks and Endeavor are in danger, whatever's happening over there, and Shigaraki is about to kill everyone. I mean, no matter if Bakugo survives this one or not, he's probably out of the fight for a good while, which means Shigaraki is about to really do some damage to all of Deku's friends there. That would mean that maybe the reason to take Deku away was to now give him the choice to basically say he can save one of them. Like one of these groups he might be able to save. But for that he has to decide to let the others die.
I don't think he's going to be aware of that. He's going to go to Shigaraki.
Yeah,
but
the Shigaraki battlefield.
Yeah, he's going to learn after on the other side.
My point was that for the chapter with the Endeavor All for One chapter, it seemed to suggest that Deku is somewhat aware of what's happening. Not necessarily directly that who is in danger and where, but he might be aware that there's something really, really bad happening with All for One. There's something really, really bad happening with Shigaraki. And he might even, I don't know, somehow get word of something bad happening with Toya, maybe of Amanda Days.
But that's good. That's good. That's good because
they have comms. Like the comms at Shigaraki Station, they don't work right now.
So. Yeah, they don't work.
But that's
comms at Endeavor's battlefield, they work. So they can't. Deku can get a message from like them saying like all for One's prime body is back. Not to him specifically, but to everybody. Like an announcement made like All for One is back in his real body.
I mean,
I like the idea that they call Deku that for the story. I like the idea as an author to call Deku away, so that now Deku has to make the choice where to go.
I mean, that's good. Good. Make attention. Make him make real decisions. This is what you want to be. Your story about the greatest hero. Well, guess what? It's tough calls you got to make because not every once again, you got to grow up. You got to face reality. Sometimes it's not always going to be as easy as I want to do this, so I'm just going to pull up to every battlefield and do what I got to do. Nah, you have to make this is war, as it should be. You have to make the choice whether I have to go here or there. But I was supposed to be here. But what about my friends over here? But it's not. You got to make the choice, bro. Just as simple as that. Which is
golden super chat for Mello, by the way.
Okay.
Oh. The simplest explanation is often the correct one. The kid is dead. There's no time travel, just a resemblance of a heroic spirit appearance. Bakugo's life flashed before his eyes. That's what happened.
I wanted to comment on that a while ago. Like that is also a massive possibility, especially when we've seen stories where characters will be on death's door or they'll be like 1 foot in the grave and they'll see someone that's close to them that's dead. Take an example, Rengoku's mother at the end of Mugen Train. It's if it's Bakugo time travel or if it's Bakugo being a user withdrawal because of Heroes Rising, it's all won't be addressed until there's a reason for it to be addressed, you know?
So here's the thing, Mello. I agree that usually taking the simplest solution is the smartest route. My thing with this is I never want people to so adamantly double down, triple down, quadruple down on an idea within a story and then have never considered any other possibilities and then be like, this was complete bullshit and there was no way it was ever possible and blah, 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 blah. Especially in a piece of fiction with this much variables like tossed into it. Like there's a lot of variables that go into it's like this would apply to any series to a certain degree, like unless that's any series that has a power system. You have like for example, I'm sure there were some people who actually thought Yuji was going to die when he got stabbed in the chest. I did, but I'm sure some people did.
If you thought
Just
that,
like-
that wasn't even the first time.
That's on you, bro. if you
Right.
believe that shit.
Like Nobara, like what happened in that situation.
That's what I would compare this to. I would compare this to that.
Oh, let's simmer
So
down.
that's why I'm like, if it's similar to that, then that's why, like, I'm like, we've had a couple.
Heard us twice though.
Just the reactions to this have felt very much. Nobara's coming back, which is another thing. I'm like 50-50 on.
Let's ease up on the, we got a lot of anime only people.
Yeah.
I gotta explain how I really feel about this whole Bakugo situation. But like, I read the leaks when they first dropped, as always, like, and the leaks literally misled everybody. Like, the leak said his heart stopped.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't explain the attack that happened to him. They didn't really go into detail about it. So I've been dealing with people saying that he is alive for a minute now. It's been a while. Like, as soon as people found out his heart stopped when the leaks came out, they were like, he's alive, you're not fooling nobody, blah, blah, blah. Then we got more information, we got more panels, we actually saw what happened. And then people started to like get shaky a little bit, like, whoa, no, like he's dead though, right? He's dead. Like, and then you got the people saying, oh, he's alive. So for me, honestly, people are gonna say he's alive no matter what. Like, it don't matter what the case may be. Like,
but we had a similar situation with that though, with Twice.
I've seen somebody say, yo, the Twice thing too. Like, I remember when Twice first died, there were people saying he's not dead. In chapter 266, in that chapter where he died, like, people did not believe
and the people were really like, yo, Horikoshi, I can see him bringing Twice back. It's just a fake out. Twice didn't really die. And I'm just like, all right, so just can't have the moment because I'm not sure what the precedent for that is, like, for real.
Also, let's take Midnight for example.
I'm burnt out on this. Like,
I want to take Midnight as an example because I considered Midnight to be one of those like clearly dead people. And I felt like she was a side character, so it made sense for the amount of pages that were spent killing her, stuff like that. Because I was kind of like, well, I mean, she did all that, and we got the blood splatter, and I was like, oof. Mina was too optimistic. Like, there was a lot of stuff that like felt like, nah, people aren't taking this seriously, and people were like, oh no, Midnight's not dead. With this, it feels like Hori has largely committed to doing this killing, but has technically written himself a way out if he feels like it. Yeah. And that's what I'm like trying to make sure people are aware of. There are technically ways out of this situation. And if we treat it like there's absolutely zero ways out, we're going to have a bad time if he takes one of those routes.
I feel like if Hori, I said this earlier, but like, I feel like I asked you this, Sadake, if he put all the Atomic Gate moments in this chapter to the last one and ended off with Bakugo standing up and walking, I feel like this chapter would have been a lot more digestible for people to go, okay, maybe he is dead.
And genuinely, I think that is true, Thomas. If he had hard committed to like keeping Tamaki stuff and Bakugo stuff separate, I would have been like, yeah, I can't save him. I can't do it. But like, I'm like, you put so much in the same chapter now that it's like,
especially when Bakugo just showed off his own version of full cowling. It's like, yeah, we could have had more. I agree with what as a lot of people were saying in the community, where if we had two more panels or at least two more pages, that would have been fine. Because it was 90 pages.
Y'all not gonna just slander Sun Eater like that, like say his
no. We're not slandering.
This is Sun Eater slander. This is not Sun Eater slander. Understand that. I wanted more Sun Eater content. I just don't think putting those two, like those events together, was optimal for the optimal way to write this.
Yeah, right. That's just the feeling you get. You leave the chapter and it's like half and half. Part one half is Bakugo, one half is Tamaki.
Yeah, no, it's not half. It's not half.
And the other thing is that
it's not half.
Just the thing that Thomas just said is that he died, but also we spent 2 pages explaining a power up that we then didn't really get to see much of, which is somewhat. Like, why would you even waste our time with that? Then?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's not really a waste because it's a narrative reason. It's a narrative thing.
Yeah,
like it's a narrative thing of him doing like Deku. That right there is literally just like his version of full cowl.
Yes,
because it works the exact same way. Like it's literally just a situation of him going out and being like and trying to be like Deku at the end of at the end of his life. It's not necessarily like it's meant to be like, oh, he had this brand new fucking overpowered.
It's not even a power up that he could use all the time. It's a side effect. It's literally a side effect to his quirk. It's not something that he can do all the time. Literally.
Also, real quick, gonna address Dr. Doom's super chat just because I'm gonna warn you right now that this will not be in the anime. They found out from Too Spooky that Chainsaw Man is in chapter 259 near Fat Gun. Understand that Chainsaw Man will not be in the anime adaptation, similar to how yes, he's changed to Handsaw Man. And the reason for this, which is to me very obvious whenever stuff like this pops up, but then I watch the anime fandom and community like freak out.
They can never take a chill pill.
Like having the copyright licensure to display the anime image of Chainsaw Man is different than just being able to put it in a manga. And so legally Bones more than likely cannot have Chainsaw Man in their...
I mean, it's a better example than that. What? Remember the hero that's based on Sonic? They had to change the Sonic version to a brown color because it would have been copyright. It's just like at the very beginning of the series when the anime adapted like the beginnings where we had the Super Mario example, it was changed.
Just like more than likely that Spider-Man logo that you see in the Deku Far From Deku Black arc where he's talking about like doing the pathing, that probably won't be a Spider-Man logo in the anime. There's certain rules that go into it. Just like if you watch JoJo's over here, no stand when you look at the subtitles is usually rarely called the same thing.
Well, remember in the first chapter, they also had Superman in there too.
Yeah, Superman, Spider-Man. Was there?
I think Wolverine.
Yeah, it's like Wolverine. They can't do that shit because people have no understanding of licensing agreements and all that shit. It's just like so if you expect if anyone expected fucking Chainsaw Man to show up in the goddamn anime, you're crazy. Granted, actually, but there is one thing. Is it Toho that has Chainsaw Man?
No.
It's not Toho.
No.
The Super Mario in the hospital thing might be a little more forgivable. They'll probably alter the shape of his mushroom a little bit, and they'll change his colors.
Yeah.
So it'll be a similar-ish reference, but it won't be an exact one-to-one.
So they're gonna call it Mega Martin?
Of reasons.
Mega Martin.
Yeah, I gotta address something in the chat that Mello said and Tyler Hawk too. I brought this up earlier. I don't like how nobody addressed what I said. Bakugo has been the focus of this battlefield since 350.
I agree, bro.
Since 358, he's been in the spotlight. Like literally, they've had his character arc on the forefront this whole time.
Like you're talking about the thematic stuff this chapter, like it was like half of it. It was not. Like majority of the whole chapter was Bakugo. Like the thematic stuff was a few pages. The whole chapter is 70 pages. Like what people took from the chapter was the Bakugo stuff, not the Tamaki stuff.
1, 2, 3.
To me, it would be weird to not know. It's 5 pages worth of Tamaki.
It's 5 pages, yeah.
Yeah, it's not half of it.
So it's like the opening function of the chapter, though, sets it is focused on something completely different. Where, in my opinion, you could have put those. I'm assuming they just weren't drawn, but it would have made more sense for those to be in the previous chapter.
Like, I get it.
That's just what it comes down to.
I don't think I would have liked if last chapter ended with his attack doing no damage.
No, because you could end the last chapter off with Bakugo getting up. I feel like that would have been a lot better than ending it off on Chiki.
I feel like the power gap in MHA is used so well.
Yeah,
like
agreed.
Well, because like I see a lot of other series just kind of roll with it, like, oh, this is the MC and these are the few characters like really strong, and like nobody ever comments on it. In MHA, it's like it's a very specific part of the story that nobody else can keep up because this is a real problem.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to mention something else. Willow mentioned that in our little Zoom chat, but then left before to bring it up. During the panel when Shigaraki screams "Go to hell," we see his little weird fist with all the finger stuff, and there's his face in there. I'm not sure if we I haven't looked that much like that detailed into all these drawings of the hands growing. I'm not sure if there was a face there before.
Yeah, it was.
He's consistently been leveling up in terms of like what body parts he can.
He's growing body parts. Yeah.
It started off with the hands, and then he created a mouth to get rid of the poison, and then he created eyes this chapter. If you look closely on certain pages,
yeah, I see some eyes.
He's a Resident Evil monster.
He can make
also have a super chat.
Like he is unkillable. Like literally, he is unkillable.
Hold on, real quick. I'm gonna read Brit super chat. Who was Muriel punching on page 3? Who was the face on Shiggy on page 10? Thoughts on the last page note. Some translated as end of dreams, but the final in JP is only halfway there.
Muriel was punching Shigaraki. He was stretching out to punch.
Yeah, he was
so page 3. That's Shig's face. You can tell because he's got an equipment of Hado's energy waves, and then that's his hair. His face just looks a little ugly because All For One likes to pretend like he doesn't feel blows, that he feels more than he actually acknowledges. That's just a consistent thing. And then the face on Shigaraki, we were seeing. So that's part of the reason why it's kind of interesting that for this shot we get Shigaraki's face. But then after the second user, I think that's actually more of All For One talking. So like how is he pissing me off so much? That sounds way more like Shigaraki than AFO. This random extra who doesn't even possess One For All, probably both of them. Why am I suddenly panicking? That could be Shigaraki wondering why All For One's fear is factoring in.
Why does he feel this PTSD? You know?
Yeah, like he doesn't know the second user.
So yeah, like that's the sequence that I think we're going through psychologically. Like, and the reality is that AFO objectively, it's interesting that Shigaraki is supposed to be the one with all the anger and the hatred and the rage. That's going to be what it takes to take One For All. But I think the other problem is that deep down, AFO is, and we got to start wrapping up soon because I'm going to have to head out in the next like 20, 30 minutes. But the thing that I think we will eventually address also, I'm probably going to try to do a Twitter space tonight because we're not going to get to talk about everything that, we want to.
Yeah.
So I'll, hit you guys up that are in the MH Avengers chat if you want to do that.
Of course.
So we can do a space later and kind of talk about more stuff. But
can I talk about the power scaling in that?
Oh yeah, we can talk about the power scaling too. Because look, we've been talking so much about like Bakugo, like what's going on, whether Hori's like completely doing this right. We've been very focused on like structure and stuff this chapter, which is great. This is one of our best streams in a long time. Let's be real.
Man, if we're gonna do that, can I give a little preview of what I'm gonna say?
Sure.
Yeah. Just I want everyone to pay attention to one thing Shigaraki has said multiple times, and he reaffirmed this chapter. He said he mentioned when Kaneki did that big ass blast, he said, do you really think that an attack this pathetic would have damaged Prime All Might? Just let that sink in. Let that sink in.
He's been saying that a lot. He's been saying that a lot this whole battle. I'm honestly, I'm kind of
He's been dick riding.
Not the dick riding.
So bringing up how strong he is compared to All Might. Like, I got All Might's strength. I got All Might's strength. I got all.
Do you want to know the reason why?
That's definitely that All For One in him.
No, that's not All For One.
That's Shigaraki.
Shimura. No, it's Shimura.
Oh, really?
I think actually that's all three of them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Think back to when it was a kid. I played with Mikuna and so-and-so.
They call me All Might.
All Might.
Yeah.
That's
All Might fanboys is going out. But you could also see it as All For One's like.
It really works for all of them because they all have different kinds of relationships to All Might.
That was what I was going to say, because we know that Vestige for one and All For One, like they're completely different people. Now that the All For One at the battlefields, the other battlefield, is kind of like I'm kind of not thinking about All Might anymore. I'm thinking of you, Deku. Vestige All For One is like dick riding All Might as well.
It's a little bit
like
this random extra line, which is kind of a line which you can absolutely see many of these these fractions characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the reason why I say that was that All For One has too much pride to properly acknowledge All Might's power to other people. He is always trying to downplay All Might. Shigaraki kind of sees him like as the thing that he'll beat, but he also kind of views him as a thing that he's trying to surpass. So he's like Shigaraki kind of sees like, no, like as long as I beat Deku, I've surpassed All Might. And like Shimura is the one who is still looking at All Might as like the standard though, and that's why I think that that's more of that personality leaking through there.
He's a little fanboy.
Honestly, I look at it as All for One because I feel like honestly he's petty enough to where he's like, listen, All Might whoop my ass. I got your strength now, and I'm using it on your niggas, bitch. I got you.
Yeah, and he made like kind of not quite the same, but kind of similar remarks to Endeavor, that comparing him to indirectly All Might and not having one for all and stuff.
He's such a pity bitch.
Also, real quick, I gotta hit up Andrew's super chat. Easton Tundra saw some of my theories on how Bakugo will survive past couple of days. They were so shocked they could not reply and react.
Anarchy, you I think this chapter is a result of you last week because you said, "Oh, Bakugo is not gonna die. He's going to live until Deku comes." And then Horikoshi saw the stream. He was like, "Ha!"
Yo, listen, yo,
I thought it was both.
Something in the chat. Something in the chat was heat just now. So it said on one of the final pages where he's like, "Oh, I'm the final boss." That's definitely Shigaraki dialogue. Yeah. But right before that, he said Demon Lord. So I'm telling y'all, literally, like their personalities are merged at this point.
Yeah.
There's no point in talking about is it Shigaraki, is it All for One? It is the two of them. Like,
no, isn't it interesting? Because there are these separations. Like last chapter, Shigaraki referred to himself as All for One, referred to me as All for One. Then Shigaraki Tomura as someone else, and then this other thing, Tenko, who is somewhere, Shimura, who's kind of making him weaker. And so it is so interesting because they aren't merged completely yet.
Free consciousness.
In my mind right now, there are 4 personalities. There is Tomo, there's All for One, there's Tenko, and then there's Melvin. Like, Melvin is
the fusion.
Melvin is like called the fusion.
But second time he got me.
Does have his own personality. Like, I feel like Horikoshi should just name this fusion. Like, if he's really gonna have to talk like this.
Well, the thing is, to me, I would say that there really are just 2 personalities. There's Melvin, and then there's Tenko. Because I don't think Tenko's part of that personality.
No, Tenko is completely different. Yeah,
because he busted through the same way. Because the thing I like about this is that the Tenko reveal was exactly similar to the way that we got the confirmation that the All for One vestige was inside of Shigaraki and like actively taking over. Because he pops in, it's like, "You will be mine, little brother," and Shigaraki's like, "Nigga, what the fuck am I talking about?" And the same thing happens here where Tenko's like, "Yeah, I got friends. I walk my dog," and it's like, "What am I talking about?"
I was confused.
I think there's been a bit of a disconnect. I saw people complaining about that. I think they were saying like last week, they were saying that like they feel like Hori's abandoning the found the family thing he did with the league because when whatchamacallit said he didn't have no friends, he ended up mentioning his family, but he said fuck the league. I don't think they recognize that was Tenko. I think that's been
nobody who said that recognized that. Like, which is crazy because Hori made it a point to spell it out and be like, like he literally had dude be like, "There's another personality in here." Like,
he couldn't fight Mirio no more. He was like, "I can't fight you no more. You're gonna reawaken something in me."
Like, and the word for quirk in Japanese is individuality. Like, it's literally all that you are. So
I also really love the idea how much All for One manipulated Shigaraki to the point that where he thought that once the merge happened, he would have to merge the Shigaraki personality that he basically manipulated to exist and his own All for One quirk vestige to one person, and was so surprised that Shimura even still existed with enough strength to kind of take over for a few seconds.
Like he does it.
Created a pocket for Tenko to
he only values negative emotions. Like, he only values hate. You know, that whole dark side, the whole dark side of the Sith sort of inspiration. So like he like, this is notable because All for One is like plans for like everything. He plans for every eventuality. Like, sometimes he's taken by surprise just because he's human, but like, again, he plans for every eventuality. For him to not even prepare for Tenko to even come in shows that like he just didn't think it was possible that like more neutral or even positive emotions would have any effect on him. And like, and I think that's going to be part of what's going to lead to his defeat too, is like he's sort of spelling his own, it's like his own self-fulfilling prophecy where like the Demon Lord always loses. The harder he fights, the more underhanded he gets, the more contingencies he puts in place unwittingly that's going to stop him. So
But I really want to say, because we have been talking about this question if All For One manages to take over Shigaraki for quite a while. And I do think that as of now, I think All For One is the dominant part of this personality, because we see him referring to himself as me or more often when he's All For One. And just general, I think he seems to be the more dominant part. Like even this Demon Lord thing seems to be coming from All For One, at least. I remember All For One saying similar things about demon lords and stuff. So I do think that this is at this point at least, it seems to be the quirk is more dominant than the other
even when he said it's our story now, that's kind of a reference to Overhaul when he said it's our time now, Shigaraki.
Yeah,
that's why they're definitely more merged than they were in like the Star and Strike fight, but there's still clearly some personality, and I think it's partially because of Shimura that it's not a 100% meld.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to say something about the Cassie fight too. There was one moment that really hasn't like gotten touched upon like by the story yet. It's when All For One told Shigaraki like, "Oh yeah, our bodies are gonna merge. We're gonna become one." And then like when there was that scream when the white hair first started growing, he was like, "It began in that house with a grain of hate that grew on itself." I think that's when Tenko was created, to be honest, because I think Shigaraki's trying to unravel his hatred to overcome All For One.
Yeah, I do think what's going to happen is that Tenko and Shigaraki will merge, and AFO will then become part of them and not, because at this point it seems to me that the reason that AFO, the quirk, is now stronger than the other two is because ultimately Tenko and Shigaraki are the same person. They're just fractured. Which would make sense that makes both of them weaker than All For One.
Yeah.
But once they get together, they might be stronger because then they are just one whole person, while All For One is just a quirk.
He's trying to he tried to intentionally construct like a split personality without like again, like in a very All For One way. He doesn't really look into what that really entails. He just, I'm gonna do it, right? Like man, it's just like, I think this chapter signifies, if nothing else, this is a major point of no return. Like I said this on my own reaction stream, but this is like even more than like the final battle starting, or even, you know, the Dabi versus Shoto fight and the other fights and All For One. This is like a point of no return. This is where some heavy shit is gonna start playing out clearly, because it has to. It's like, and whatever these last 40 chapters hold, I think there are going to be a lot of surprises. Like even things we're not accounting for are going to come up.
Yo, Volk, so you're saying that Uraraka's going to die against Toga, right?
Pardon?
That Toga's going to catch that body?
Maybe.
Okay.
But
Aniki, before we wrap up real quick.
What's up?
So
yeah, I would need to say my piece too after that.
Oh yeah. Well, so one thing real quick, I got two things. I'm gonna read Walking super chat first because he sent it to me and shit. But first I want to address them real quick. Now, you see how you say I call a spade. You know what I'm saying? And then since we niggas, and I'm just gonna call it out. So fella, so when you were addressing, not just like la, you know, ignoring whatever. When it comes up to this topic, I've been through this too many times. That's why I let y'all have that discussion over there. Because if that's what the mindset people want to be of, then just that, then that's okay. We on stream, you know, we can go there. That's on the people over there that had that conversation. I ain't trying to be in nobody's ear. because there's some at a certain point it's just like y'all over there, we on this side, we already clashed heads on this we've been doing this shit since that fucking video dropped at this point. So at this point I just be like, all right, you know what? That's why I said, y'all got that over there. I just gonna bull over here until that conversation is finished. Because at this point, I've been running around circles with that whole time travel thing since that video came out. And it's been what, like 2 years, y'all, since that shit happened?
Mm-hmm.
And it's been like the more time goes on, the less basis there is for it now, even more so here, the amount of workarounds and loop-de-loops and hoops you would have to jump through just to even justify about not even a fucking handful, like not even like just 30-40% of it. So that's why I was like, we here to have discussions. That's why I'm not gonna be here, everybody talking and just be like, nah. That's why I step to the side and step out. When y'all having that conversation, I have to keep my mouth shut on the side over here at that, because y'all gotta have an actual conversation and provide something there. Me, I already got my mind set on where that's at. So that's why I let y'all go on the side over there. That's why I step to the side and let y'all handle the main stage for that. Because that's the actual discussion. I don't got nothing to add to that discussion. But I spoke one piece about what my stance was at. Now, tell me we doing wrap up so I can say what Watkins got to say, because he sent me his final words.
What? Do you have his words?
Yeah, I was waiting for you.
Okay. So, like I said, we're gonna do a space tonight so that anybody who's been in the stream and anybody who's listening to the stream can get like a follow-up discussion. Everybody here is obviously invited. That'll probably be like 7-8 hours from now, though, just because I plan to be busy for most of the rest of the day. But with that said, we are gonna go around the horn, start doing some wrap-up talks, and I'm gonna start with Seth. Final thoughts.
Thank you. All right. Well, this is just an incredible chapter. I think I feel like I have so much to say, and that so much has already been said. But my thoughts on this really are that I think this is a really well executed, no pun intended, character death. I do feel like there's finality to it. I think there's the right sense of it's satisfying and unsatisfying at once. Like, I don't think you have a scenario where a character just walks up and then, okay, now I can die. And I mean, there's a place for those, I think, but I think in this kind of situation, I like the unsatisfying tinge to this, because that Bakugo just has a lot to give the world, I think, just from his skill and talent, not so much his personality per se, but he's just such an impactful character, no matter how you read the story. And I think this was an incredible way for him to go, even if I didn't want to see it. I think that this was just a really good way to do it. I don't think the author buys this back, or at least I said earlier how I think he might buy it back, but to be honest, I don't think so. Anyways, this was a great chapter. I agree with how this was handled. I know he's going to say a lot more MHA. Like, if the anime gives us up, if they will, then awesome. But just for now, in general, I'm sad, happy, and I like this mix of emotions. I feel this is what I wanted to feel. Characters going to go out. And this just raises the stakes for the entire rest of the war arcs and battlefields. So I'm hyped and awesome. Thank you for having me on. It was great.
All right. Appreciate those words. Let's go with Shiro.
All right. So I'm just gonna address my stance on the way Bakugo died, and also my thought on the whole time travel stuff. As for the time travel stuff, we all agree we are in the final arc, right? I would even say we are close to the middle of it. And I think it will be too late. And yeah, it will be too late for Horikoshi to introduce this whole time travel stuff when he's trying to end the manga, especially when there is no precedent of a any kind of power like that. The closest we got was Sir Natai. And even then, his power was not like all powerful people. The future could be changed. So he even like made it so him seeing the future was not definite. So like for him to introduce this with Harry, like people are talking about, I think it would be way too much to put into the story at this stage. If he did that like a few arcs ago, if he started to put some hints of that a few arcs ago, I would have been fine. But now it would seem like a cop out. And even as instead like the arguments, like I let people cook, like do like speak your mind, say what you want, but to me it still doesn't make any sense. Like, so yeah, that's for the future stuff, like that's how I feel. As for Bakugo, I think it was a pretty good death moment, and it's pretty tragic because same as Twice death was pretty tragic because like that's the thing with young people dying, is that they had so much potential. We got a glimpse of what he could have been. He stepped up. He showed how good he became as a person. And it's a shame that he died without achieving his dreams. But that's the thing with war and shit like that. Like, people are gonna die even though they had so much ahead of them. And I think that's the beauty in it. And I think there's a precedent with Orikoshi where, like, even with Twice, like he could have done a lot more, but it was cut short. Bakugo too, it was cut short. So I like what he did here, and if he comes back after all of that, I wouldn't like it at all, because I wouldn't take any injuries, any death seriously into the rest of the manga. If Bakugo comes back, I could not take anything seriously. I would like, he got pierced, I'd fine. Bakugo survived, so he's fine then. If this other character got this, he's fine. Bakugo survived. Like, that's gonna be the argument going forward, and nobody's gonna be able to counter us because Bakugo was alive. So why we should care about other people being in danger? So I really think for the future of the manga, this needs to stick, and I hope it does. That's it.
All right. Let's go with BG.
Oh yeah. God damn it, that hurt. I was gonna say, oh no, I think it did everything I never knew I wanted. Never expected it, especially after last week when we kind of all came to the conclusion, this child is completely safe. It's gonna be somebody like Tamaki. Well, Tamaki had a good moment. Bakugo got put in the dirt. I couldn't be happier. but no, yeah, I'm maybe it's just a me thing, but I was very satisfied with the deal, because as I joked, I was very hyped about the fact that he was gonna die. But then then that page with him and Deku's kids and him talking, and I'm just being a fanboy, kind of almost had my eyes sweating a little bit. So I'm like, yeah, nah. I think it was done very well. I think it was very emotional, hitting, cool. Made me excited to see what he has planned for the rest of the series.
All right, let's go with Sayes.
I think I'm gonna make it quick because I know we're running out of time. I will probably stay in denial about Bakugo's death for a while now. Not necessarily that he died, but just that he's out of the story. I don't think he's out of the story. I don't think that's it. I'm currently hoping for the solution that Genus saves him and then dies trying to protect him in some way. I know some of you might think it's unrealistic, but that's my go-to theory at the moment, which would be the most realistic. Don't think it's going to travel in time now, if ever. Yes, so much about Bakugo. Really interested to see what's going to happen next, because whatever is happening with him, I think he's out of the fight for good at this point. So the others will have major troubles keeping Shigaraki in check, however long it takes for Deku to arrive. I think how I will rate this chapter will probably depend a lot on if he dies, because unlike most of you, I didn't think this was a satisfying death. So if Bakugo actually died in this chapter, I don't think I would be happy with this way of going out. If this is just a cliffhanger or sort of thing, I think I'll be way happier with it. And I don't really think that this makes other deaths unimportant or unbelievable, because even if Bakugo survives now, if someone else dies, that would still be tragic. It wouldn't be Bakugo, but that wouldn't undo other deaths just because one character survives. No.
Thomas?
First of all, I hope BG's okay because I heard him say ow.
All right.
I just want to say, I just want to say that the fact of Bakugo, I think he's dead. Shut up. I think that's such a shock to the system, because when I was reading a chapter and Bakugo showed off how his new full cowling technique, I was like, it's nearing him dying. And obviously I read the leaks and I saw everything, but I was like hesitant until I saw Fairy scans, the fan scans. 244 chapters ago, that was one of the first looks we got at the cards, like the trading cards that they had, and seeing Hori bring that back for Bakugo and All Might's, like whether it's Bakugo having one for all, it doesn't matter at this point. Seeing that, it hits. I also want to say that most characters now are on the chopping block. Jiro, Tokoyami, Shoto, Ida, not just the students, but obviously the heroes, Endeavor, Hawks. I see Genus dying. I see Kamui dying because he's been useless so far. This chapter is amazing, and I stand by what I said earlier. I feel like we should have had this entire chapter dedicated to Bakugo, even though this entire lead up to this was Bakugo centric. I would have loved to see more, like Hori fully like expanding on it. And I think that's it. This is a 9 out of 10 chapter. I want to see next. If he swaps over to another battlefield, that's good. But I want to see if he's dead or not. That would be cruel on Hori's part. But yeah, that's all.
All right.
You know he's a cool man.
Let's go with Fish.
Fuck, you're right.
Wait, Fish, you still here? That man
Fish
is out
tripping.
here. Fish out here talking to some Latina on the phone.
That's
betraying these
crazy.
people.
That's crazy.
All right, Volk.
It was like it's one of those chapters you just are not ever going to be able to get out of your head. Like, this is a very defining moment for the series. Like, again, 50-50. I don't know quite where this is going to go. If he stays dead, that changes a lot. If he comes back, I'm sure it's going to change a lot. It's just I'm not gonna double down too much on either way. I think execution wise, I thought it was a good tragic but good end to his character arc, if this is really it. Considering the focus, considering what we've seen of him throughout the series, and how, you know, like he has sort of conquered himself now, his own insecurities and weakness. But on the other hand, you know, never say never. There's a lot more to you can do with a character like this. I think there are going to be very consistent surprises, more than ever before. I think I really liked like the Atomic Red airing. Like, I'm still thinking about that. It's like he tricked all of us. I said last week I thought Bakugo was safe, relatively. Like I didn't think he was going to die, but here we are this week. Shows what I know. Yeah, my brain is fried, and he does it again. It's one of those stories that I'm always going to be invested in, but like when he really turns up, when he really shocks you, it's like it really does hit. So we'll see. That was a great chapter this week. Always loved the art. And I cared for Bakugo more than I thought I would. That's quite an accomplishment. Yeah, that's my piece.
All right, and real quick, just to double check if Fish is still here or not. All right, that is an absent Fish. So, anybody else before I had Archbishop East take us home?
I still got
Tarnish.
Yeah. So my true thoughts are more in line with Shiro. I really like what Shiro said. Like, I wouldn't be able to take anything seriously if this got taken back. But all of that aside, I'm doubling down. I'm petty. I've been going at this with people online since Tuesday, since the leaks first dropped. I've literally been debating people whether or not he's dead. He is dead. Everything I've heard about him being alive has literally like made me roll my eyes. He's the most popular character. Deku's not there. Blah blah blah. XYZ. This person could do that. I don't care about none of that no more. Like, at this point, this is literally what I needed at this battlefield since we came here. Because when we came to this battlefield, I felt no tension. I literally felt no tension. Everybody was jumping around the hands, relaxing. Like, everything seemed like it would be okay until Deku got here. Maybe some people would get messed up. No, I needed somebody like to die, to get hurt. And the thing about it is that literally anybody could have died in his place. And I feel like that's what people don't like about it. But I mean, that's this battlefield. Nobody can do anything to him. Literally, I feel like Sun Eater's moment where his attack got 8, that moment literally gave me like despair, because that moment right there proved to me that, okay, nothing is doing anything to him at this battlefield. And it's like, it's in stone. Even people doing crazy ass like ultimate attacks, nothing. So to have Sun Eater do that giant ass attack and then Bakugo get back up, you should already know this is a futile effort from like that double spread. You know that this isn't going to do anything, but he's still trying. He's still fighting. He's still going till his last breath. Just like Final Exams, like he stood up to All Might. Like he didn't beat him. He stood up to All Might in Final Exams until he was passed out, KO'd, said, if I want to win a certain way, that is what I will do until I just can't no more. And that's what he did in this fight. He fought until he couldn't fight anymore. He powered up. He went plus ultra. And it just wasn't enough, just like everything else. And literally, like, as the most important person to Deku right now, according to Shiggy for one, even if somebody else tries to save him, how? Shiggy for one is trying to kill him. He wants him specifically dead. So that's why anything to me about him surviving, I'm just like, all right, if he is alive, he's gonna get bodied again because this person's trying to go for him. So like everything for me at this point, it's just like, I'm burnt out. I'm exhausted on talking about him being alive or dead, which is why I didn't chime in like that earlier. But nah, you can't come back from this. Like, narratively, nah. Like, it's a good moment. It's a really good moment. Outside of all the arguing about it, I really like this chapter. This is like Bakugo is my favorite character. He's my day one. It's like, if I had to create a list, it's literally Bakugo, Tomura Shigaraki, and then Aizawa. Like, and all three of my favorite characters are at the same place right now. And one of them has got knocked off. Like, I'm hurt right now. But the arguing has kind of soiled it for me, which is why I need the next chapter to really like cement it so I can be happy again. But other than that, good chapter.
You just got to stop engaging in the leak stuff.
Never.
Nah.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
I did do that.
We're crackheads for a reason.
I'm just saying, you would have had you basically just admitted, damn, this would have been a way more enjoyable experience if I hadn't been dealing with this since Tuesday.
Oh no!
Objectively, your life would have been better had you not engaged in leaks.
It's kind of hard not to engage.
I love the meltdown on the timeline. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I would have failed anyway. You know how many tweets I saw about this?
Yeah. Wait.
My point though is just that and I've said this since MVA, since My Villain Academia, when they thought Toga was getting gang raped, People got to stop
Oh my
engaging.
god!
Like
Oh.
ever since that
That was the
happened.
thing. That was the thing.
Ever since that happened.
I never forget that one.
Ever since that happened.
Anarchy, can I give you a gift for you to like have?
No, I forgot about this.
Anarchy, look up Dekachan. Look up Dekachan and see what they were posting this week, and you'll know our pain.
That's why I'm telling y'all, just let that, because like there's so much, there's always hyper reactionary discourse around MHA leaks to the point that it's like, one, it feels like people consistently want the series to be worse than it is, but two,
Of course they do.
it's just like it's not worth it at this point. Like it never, it objectively, consistently lowers people's experience and enjoyment of the series. So why engage with something that is consistently lowering your enjoyment? You know what I'm saying?
that's
because
like
they're right. The second
Listen, I am selfish. I can't comprehend the fact that there's MHA content out there that I'm not aware of.
Yeah, true.
Oh wait, hold on. You mean what was your experience and how so?
Wait, what do you mean? Like with the arguing?
Yeah, is that what you mean?
Now me, it was Twitter, and this is 110% my fault. I went on Reddit.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, that's your fault. Like you never go there.
Yo,
go to 4chan. That's like go to 4chan.
No, listen, you
remember your phone, Tarnish. You got to be off the internet.
Tarnish,
you want to know why?
I feel your pain, bro.
Bro, I went on Reddit because I wanted to see what they thought about this, because they have been shitting on MHA for like a year straight.
Yo, I did the same, bro.
I'm like, all right, what about now? He killed somebody. What about now? And now they're like, you know what? Even if he is dead, it's still trash. I'm like, fuck y'all. Fuck y'all.
Yo, I did the same thing, bro.
So yeah, like me, I have a bunch of stuff muted. I have like half my homies muted. No offense to y'all. I got some of y'all in this car muted.
I'm not muted because I purposely don't post on Sunday for you.
I was wild.
I only responded to one tweet. I don't
actually, Thomas, you're not in trouble with me, but you are in trouble with my lady for that SpongeBob tweet the other night.
What SpongeBob tweet?
The tweet from yesterday with SpongeBob.
Oh,
she was appalled that wholesome Thomas.
She saw
yes.
Oh shit. Okay.
I didn't see it. I'm about to look that up. Hold on.
Nah, don't. We can talk about that later.
But anyway, Fish, you got like one more calling Fish. Fish for final words.
All right, so check this out. Bakugo is dead. I'm sorry to tell everyone this. Like, I don't care what you guys think. He's gone. This is the perfect send off, in my opinion.
Yes, sir.
I love to see it. I mean, in my reaction, I hated to see it. I had to get off screen for a little bit. I couldn't even, And so when I came back to that final page, I mean, it really everything about this chapter hit home for me. And I was wearing my Deku shirt, so I'm like, where is this man? That's gonna be just an amazing moment when Deku finally shows up, has his little "I am here" moment. I'm just that's just the number one thing for me right now. But there's so much going on all these other battlefields as well. I just don't see the heroes pulling this out. I'm gonna keep saying that I don't see the heroes pulling this out, but until we come back and see what happens, I think we might even be moving away. I think this would be a perfect time to move away and focus on something else. But I don't know. We'll see. This was great. This is phenomenal. 10 out of 10.
10.
All right. Now, Archbishop East, bring us home.
First things first, and we already way behind schedule, so let me make this extremely quick. So first thing, I got to shout out to Watkins, even if they cut my time in half. We can't let more niggas hanging because he was supposed to go first, but I think he forgot. But let me rate Walker's final thoughts because he was having fucking trouble. So he said Dynamo in full effect. Nagan survived exploding. Torino was still barely breathing. All I need from all this is the follow through. If this truly is the end of Bakugo, I'm happy with it. Bakugo had his great character moments, and he ended in a way where it was truly him needing to win. His death will push Deku to become the greatest hero. The only way I can see them having some sort of time to help keep Bakugo alive is if All Might was there, not to fight, but to confront Shigaraki in order to be the sacrificial pawn to give some time for heroes to do something for Bakugo, leading to All Might's death. And maybe they can both die. Who knows? I'm not Horikoshi. Fantastic chapter could be bumped up or down depending on the follow-up. Also, with All Might Vestige just makes Hero Rising canon, and it's fine. LOL. God tier 10 chapter, Horikoshi is a master. We are just peasants. That was Walken's final words. So Now it's time to get my final thoughts very briefly.
Fuck is spitting.
So I'm gonna let y'all so we can get out of here. I got shit to do. You're all right, y'all. Top to fucking bottom. I'm still stunned. I'm still speechless. I can't believe what I have absolutely witnessed. Hey man, listen, to each their own, feel how you want to feel. But like I keep telling niggas, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm gonna feel what I want to feel, and I'm gonna say what the fuck I want to say. Cause I'm me and you. And at the end of the day, I'll wipe my own ass. So with that being said, fucking peak. I can't believe this shit, nigga. Talk about can I catch up to you? Talk about, man. I know I would have, I wanted to get an autograph. I wanted to do this at the time, but I was kind of a punk back then when I met you. Too bad I didn't get an autograph. And the way he encapsulates emotions in this blank, bro, you take a fucking white piece of paper and you create magic on it. That's a fucking superpower to me, nigga. That's a fucking quirk. That's abilities beyond my belief that I can understand. The somber tenderness and the way he fucking encapsulates a single stroke in each line. And he fucking finishes it. And he encapsulates the emotions that these characters are feeling. How can you do so much with so little? It honestly blows me away. Almost like how Bakugo got his heart blown away. It's absolutely fucking madness to me, bro. Time and time again, I'm fucking baffled by the way this nigga can move me, bro. A piece of fucking paper. The passion I put arguing niggas talking shit. Bro, we don't even let a nigga like this in IRL get me out of pocket like this unless he throwing some hands, bro. Because talk is cheap. And speaking of talk is cheap, bro, listen, I don't know. Everybody feel the way you feel. I'm double dicking down, balls on the table. You put your money where your fucking mouth is. I don't care what anybody says. If you back out of this, bro, any and all slander, if Mickey Mouse jokes completely warrants it, you fucking remove all tension from any other battlefield. We're not talking about what happens we're not talking about what happened in the past. We're talking about the future, the president. If this was the case and he wasn't going to do that, you could have just really like put somebody else at the forefront to die. But I need attention. But if this is the stake in a bar you set, that you just proved everybody wrong, that said not only did you have the balls not to kill a single kid, but you killed the most popular that was there, that was always their defense and their excuse and their go-to why this can't happen is that just because he's the most popular and you did the unthinkable and the undoable. From here, anybody's fair game. And the tension and the emotions and the rise I'm gonna feel from this entire war will be unrivaled if he really does pull. I say he's dead, but if he pulls through on this next week, undeniably. But if he backtrack and all the fucking slander comes in and anybody's saying that I don't feel tension, you can't really say nothing because guess what? You pulled this card that these are final words, bro. This is not something you just say, but like, but you know what? I'm still kicking. No, the way you presented this is undeniably like this meant something to a character because like back then I didn't see Bakugo's final words when he did Cluster Impact. I didn't see those as final. This right here, pierced through your heart, your chest, it exploded, got pierced. You saying what you said, I wanted that autograph, and you put the card right there with the blood next to the body, bro. Have these characters' reactions. I don't know how you could come back off of that. So, me being said, I feel that this is completely solidified. He may survive. He will not survive. He may not be dead right here, right now, but he will not survive. I'll be very peculiar with that. Everybody can argue this and another. He will not survive the end of this day with an MHA. Okay? He will not survive. It's coffin time. And that's that. And all I can say is Horikoshi, once again, you have proven you are the master, the myth, the fucking legend, bro. Once again, you have brought so many people together to discuss this. Honestly, the passion from the hate to the critiques to the fucking just the enjoyment at the end of the day that we could be here doing some shit like this, bro. Having these emotions, talking every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Fucking shit, bro. Honestly, it blows my mind that I never think I'd be here doing this shit. Shit just yeah, honestly, bro, I'm less speechless. Just like the fucking chapter, bro. I'm honestly less speechless. So every Sunday we do the same fucking thing. You know how we fucking close this out. Shout out to all the fucking people that pulled up. And yes, we're going through the lineup real speed list. Shout out to Shiro. Shout out to Thomas. Shout out to fucking Saya. Shout out to Seth. Shout out to Volk. Shout out to Fish. Shout out to Tarnish, bro. Shout out to Walkins for pulling through. Shout out to Wheeler. Shout out for everybody in the chat. Shout out for the super chats. Shout out to all of you guys and the viewers that don't comment. We still fucking appreciate y'all day in, day out. Until the end of time,
You know how I feel. It's undefeated. I'm the East, baby. I can't even give this a 10. This is the shit I gotta do until the fucking end. Hori my goat. Nigga, I scream it at the top of my lungs and through my throat. Breaking at the chest, nigga. I'm coming from the west side. I cap, nigga. I'm coming from the east, nigga. Because when I unleash on these streets, be a Horikoshi undefeated beast. Hell, Hori, nigga. Appreciate you coming for the church of MHA. What it do?
And y'all know how we do. I love every single one of you that came through. I'm glad you did all the shout outs because half the time, like I almost always forget at least one person on accident. So thank you for that, East. Thank you for everybody in the chat. And the Feast of Tunisia, Joseph Pega, Tyler Hawk, Brandon De La Cruz, because I didn't say your name earlier, and I feel like your name gets shouted out every stream, and I feel bad about that. Britt, MK the Baby, all of y'all out here, Alex Senator, drop them hell hories. Make sure you put that respect on his name. And remember, this chapter is the perfect thing to lead us off on before we go for this 2-week break. We're gonna see what we got coming. Look, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to the rest of this conflict. If Bakugo's dead, expect more people to drop. And and to be honest, the only way I see Bakugo, like if Bakugo really were to survive this somehow, I would assume that there's going to be something of far equal or greater loss to compensate for him baiting this out like that. So either way, this is a bad omen. If he lives, bad omen for a bunch of other characters. If he dies, bad omen for a bunch of characters. That's how I'm looking at this right now. Appreciate everybody that came through. That said, I'm Aniki, Church of MHA. We are out.